You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks, happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for tuning into another awesome episode of the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. Folks, we have a packed out show. We got so much information to give you. I don't even know where to start, but we actually had an entirely different show planned. A lot of information came down that I wanted to address right away before the lies just continue to spread. So we're going to face those head on. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and most importantly, share this content, folks. It's the best thing you can do for us. Let's get the truth out there. Let's fight these lies. We appreciate you doing that. Also, down in the description below, if you'd like to support our efforts and what we do, there's a link that you can become a member. So make sure you become a member. It's a couple bucks a month. It goes a long way, and we really, really appreciate that. But before we get started, I do want to welcome everybody over in the chat. We got Catlin Williams, Bush League, Guy, Texas Motherbird, Michelle 925, CJ Carenti, a big supporter of the channel in many, many different ways. CJ, happy birthday, buddy. I hope you the best day ever. Thank you for everything that you do for us, and happy birthday to you. And hopefully you got to spend it with your family today. Many, many more. If you haven't said hello yet, make sure you do that. We appreciate everybody, and we're going to get you in on this conversation. And there's multiple conversations to be had. We have multiple guests, but the first thing that I want to jump into, folks, is something that just went down. Candace, on her episode yesterday, is talking about how apparently, allegedly, Erika Kirk is calling her an ugly bitch and all of these other things. I immediately thought that is probably not true. I don't know Erika personally. I just don't think that's her character, but we're going to explore some of these things. And first and foremost, I want to let you guys know exactly where I first kind of heard this. I want to show you right here. So this is the first time that I'd seen anything on this. I didn't even know who Baron Coleman was talking about. But here it says, she says she's not going to give that woman an ounce of her energy, but sometimes she just can't help herself, and she'll sort of explode with a tirade. She hates her more than she hates her political opponents. At least with them, she knew where she stood. They didn't exactly betray her like Candace did. Candace did her so dirty. I think at this point, she likes even Tyler more than Candace. I didn't even know who he was talking about. Really didn't matter to me, but this is my response. Tyler killed a man. Candace is trying to destroy that man's family, his life work, and his legacy. And let's be real, that's what he's doing. And then we have over here again, somebody asked, who, here on Baron Coleman's feed, said, who said this? A Daily Mail cited unnamed sources. And folks, this is what we see time and time again. This is Candace Owens' trade. Like, this is what she works with. This is her entire business model. What do we get are unverified, anonymous sources with unverifiable information. That's what we're getting time and time again with her. But I want to go right here where Candace is talking about this on her show, and then we're going to look at a couple of her tweets.
A breath of fresh air, because we get to see the real Erika. Here is the extraordinary headline. Erika hates Candace Owens. She thinks she's the ugliest person in the world, a soulless ghoul. Charlie Kirk's family reveal widow's private tirades against the podcaster that she refers to as that BI. I'm not going to curse here.
Yeah, because she's never cursed on her show. Look, I don't think for a second that this is legitimate, but I don't really care if it was. Let me tell you something. If Erika did go on a tirade about this, she has every right. I would be calling, and I do call, Candace Owens much worse things. What she is doing to this woman and what she's doing to TPUSA and trying to destroy everything that Charlie built, folks, it is disgusting. And we have caught her in lie after lie after lie. And her followers don't care. They, with like the most energetic ways possible, they defend her lies. They push this trash, and they are all working together. Especially her, her orbit of downstreamers, Baron Coleman, Ian Carroll. They're doing everything they can to destroy and remove anything that Charlie touched. These people are calling for, you know what, take Charlie's name off of his podcast. They want to erase him from history. No, I want them to keep Charlie Kirk's name on the podcast in the same way that we keep Henry's Ford name on Ford and many other different, legacy type businesses. TPUSA has done so much good for this country. Charlie Kirk has done so much good for this country. And Erika Kirk is doing everything she possibly can to make sure that mission continues. And these people are lying. They're deceiving people. They are frauds. And I would like to see, I would have no issue if Erika Kirk went off on this. I just don't think it happened. And we're even going to talk about who Candace claims to be a source of this information in just a moment.
So for clarity, a ghoul in Middle Eastern folklore is a demonic being that haunts burial grounds and deserted places. Traditionally, these creatures were said to have the ability to shape.
They hover over people's corpses and haunt people. I think it's a pretty good description of who Candace is, actually.
Shift to lure travelers into the desert and to consume the flesh of both children and the dead. It's a strong occult start to what is sure to be a promising article. Kind of how we felt about the people surrounding Charlie. Soul suckers a little bit.
The soul suckers, they're the ones that are continuing to fight to keep his mission alive. Now, I do want to go over here real quick to the original article. And this is the original article, which, by the way, has now been edited. It still has the same post date, but it has been edited. And it goes through, and Erika hates Candace Owens. She thinks she's the ugliest person in the world, a soulless ghoul, is what it states. When Erika Kirk arrived in a tiny Utah courtroom earlier this month to face her husband's alleged killer, she expected to be overcome with rage. Whatever that says. And then it goes on, and we have a lot more information here. We'll get to the article that it has now, which is actually much more damning toward Candace, to be honest with you. And I'll look through this one. This is just a couple of screenshots that we have of this article. It has now been edited. They talk about the courtroom. They talk about some of the information and the evidence that's being put forth by the court itself. And of course, we've got to go through all kinds of ads. I don't know if it has the portions that on this one. Yeah, here we go. Wish that wasn't there, but the bridge is burned. It's more than burned. It's been blown up. There's no reason for Erika to ever speak to Candace again, ever, the family insider said. Candace decided to make this her identity. It's a grab for attention, building her name and her brand. It's weird that Candace didn't cover any of this portion of the article during her podcast. Erika is really offended that Candace would use her husband's death to make a buck, to get attention, to get clout, whatever it is, she's offended. And man, rightfully so. We're furious too. The public cannot stand that Erika refuses to answer or even ask crucial questions surrounding Charlie's death, which she has treated more like her personal coronation rather than an increasingly bizarre story that requires a network of paid influencers to support it, Owen said. There's some more information that we'll get into in just a little bit. But the other really important portion of this that you need to know is that the Daily Mail did reach out to TPUSA, and they said, hey, we're getting ready to post an article. We would like to get a response on this article. And they waited around for multiple days looking for an email. They even called them, made sure they had the right email. Daily Mail never sent them what they were going to post or any chance to get a response. So while in the article, and I think even Candace mentions it, it does state that we reached out to TPUSA, but didn't get a response. No, they didn't. They reached out, told them they were going to reach out, and then they had never actually reached out. So that's where we're going with this. And what this is just another tabloid jumping on this is a gold rush. This has become the story of the year. And we see this, like, people understand if they just say exactly what Candace says and promote these lies, their channels are going to blow up. They're going to get clicks, views, super chats, all of the things. This is a con. This is deception. And it's the lemmings out there, literal gullible lemmings, in spite of all the evidence, real evidence. up against Candace's imaginations, Candace's anonymous sources with unverifiable information. This is exactly why we got away from the mainstream media. This is exactly why people started turning to independent news sources on social media and things like that, because they were tired of anonymous sources with unverifiable information going after Trump, going after this person. That's what we got tired of. And now we're turning to people doing the exact same thing and doing it with an agenda, folks. This is an agenda to destroy TPUSA. Most of these people hated Charlie Kirk before he was murdered. They hated TPUSA. All the things that they're actually saying about Erika, they were saying about Charlie Kirk long before he was actually murdered. Ian Carroll was trolling Charlie 2 days before he was murdered, saying that, yeah, you know what? These people, the Jews, are the ones that killed Jesus and a bunch of other things. And then that September 11th, the very next day, Ian Carroll was already putting out information saying, we know it was the Jews. The internet found it out. You had zero evidence to go off of. This is planting seeds. This is psychological operations at its finest. And I want to show real quick Candace's response to a couple of these, and then we're going to bring on our guest. Here you go, Andrew Colvett. Please keep us updated. We received this notice hours before the piece went out seeking comment. If the Daily Mail is employing senior reporters who are tasked with making up stories out of whole cloth, complete with direct quotations from Erika. And by the way, it wouldn't be the first time that Daily Mail was caught doing something just like that. The other thing that Candace has said in the show is that she believes the source. Here we go. This is it right here. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right tab here. This is exactly the expression they cry out in pain as they strike you. On my show yesterday, I noted that my best guess was that Tracey Martin, Erika's BFF, was behind the article, a close family friend. The Daily Mail clearly made a typo because early in the article, they described the source as a family friend. And then by the end of the article, they switched and wrote family member. Now Andrew Colvett is claiming this is evidence that I planted this article because they fixed the typo. And by the way, they've completely changed the article. But her claim is that Tracey Martin is the one that gave this information. And guess what? We have Tracey Martin right here, and she can react. Tracey, let us know what your thoughts are on this. And by the way, were you the person that Daily Mail contacted and you provided this information?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
You've read both those articles because you sent them to me.
Yes.
You read the original article and you've now read the edited article that they act like the first article didn't exist and
right.
Kept the same date and everything else. Like, tell me what your thoughts are behind this. And let's talk a little bit about the credibility of what they're saying about Erika. Have you ever seen Erika go on a tirade, start crashing out?
Never. That's not her MO. I have a lot of thoughts about this, to be honest with you, Gary. First and foremost, that's not Erika. People who know Erika, and if you notice, people actually came on against this podcast who just recently met me and said there's no way that she would have done this. And that's how you know you have a consistency of character. Erika would never, she doesn't curse. She doesn't say those things. She still to this day has never said anything bad about Candace or anyone involved in this at all. And so that's where I think the world wants to believe that she's this horrible person that Candace is painted. It's just not there. And the funny thing is Candace knows that. She knows who Erika is, and she knows that she's nothing like Erika. Erika's got more class and grace in her big toe than Candace possesses at all. And there's been no name calling. There's been no, tirades. There's been no nothing. And so some friends of mine sent this to me and I actually laughed out loud because it's so crazy. And by the way, I've never spoken to anyone at Daily Mail ever. And, it's like when they don't put their sources in, one thing you'll know about me, Gary, is if you interview me, please quote me. Please put my name in there. I want complete transparency on what I say. So there's no reason to hide anything as far as I'm concerned. So if I say it, quote me 100%. And if I misspeak, I'll tell you I did. And I'm telling you right now, never spoke to anyone at Daily Mail. However, I would like to address this. Candace states down here that she says that I was spearheading the interview with Us Weekly, Us Magazine, which is interesting because she doesn't tag them in it and she doesn't tag me in it, but she tags Daily Mail and everybody else. And then she says that because it sounded like the same type of language, right? Well, I have a question. That article was never, ever published. So how does Candy know? How does she know what the article sounds like, first of all? Second of all, I spoke to a reporter from Us Weekly back on, I pulled up the dates here, back on March 13th. I was contacted by Paolo, I think it's how you pronounce her name. Very nice lady. And she said that they were going to do an article on Erika. And would I be willing to speak about it? I said, sure, absolutely. I did the article with her. And then I waited because I hadn't seen anything. I wasn't sure whether it was digital or printed or whatever. And then I reached back out to her on April 27th. And I said, hey, did I miss the article? I'm just checking. And she said, no, we haven't published it yet. Well, here's the thing about the article, Gary. That article was put in play by Candace's PR person, Mitchell. Not me, not anyone else. And I do not have a US Weekly in my speed dial, first of all, to get a national magazine. Hello, I would never do that. And so when she says in this tweet that I think that you have too, it is true, and I highly doubt it is, given its striking similarity to the piece that was being written and spearheaded by Erika's family friend, Tracey Martin, for Us Magazine. How do you know what was in the article if it was never published? I mean, maybe it's one of those things that she can say, I don't know, but we know. I'm kind of thinking that I'm just asking questions here, but that article was never published. But what she did, if you go back in her X account, you can probably find it. She got a piece of it. Well, how do you get a piece of an article that has never been published? And she actually screen recorded it, because I saw a friend of mine sent it to me too. And then she said, oh, they're trying to come out now with this article. So how do you pull a national magazine article if you're not part of it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question. And this is just another one of the lies and projection. Like, that's what she constantly does. But most importantly, what we see time and time again, and this is what she traffics in, we have anonymous sources with unverifiable information. She puts it out as fact. She says it with confidence, and everybody believes it. And the way that unfortunately, she has been effective at demonizing Erika so unfairly. I mean, everybody should just be disgusted by this. I don't care who you are. Like, even people, like, I don't care if there was an article about Hillary Clinton. Can't stand Hillary Clinton. One of the people on this planet that I think is genuinely evil, disgusting, don't want anything to do with her. If there was an article that came about her today, and it was anonymous sources with unverifiable information, I'd be one of the first people to say, you know what, we should reject this. And everybody should. Like, if we allow media to constantly do this, regardless of the source, like, you are going to be fooled. And you got to expect higher standards, whether it's from Candace Owens or whether it's from the Daily Mail. Daily Mail, which, by the way, was one of the biggest rags pushing all kinds of COVID disinformation. And I mean, as in pushing COVID, they were also one of the biggest rags out there pushing the Steele dossier against President Trump. And I've been telling everybody, folks, this is an op against ultimately MAGA, against President Trump. And you need to wake up and you need to realize what's actually happening here. TPUSA was responsible for getting President Trump elected. And look, they are going to be responsible for whatever positive things happen in the midterms. Hopefully we win them, and or what's in 2028. And if they can undermine that institution and all of Charlie's work for, since 2012, like, that's what they understand that. Like, they need TPUSA to be destroyed, and they're using people like Candace Owens to make this happen.
Yes. And I think too, Gary, to your point, because I definitely have spoken about this a lot since this has happened, having the seat that I have, which is a very interesting, place to be, with having a history with this person and knowing her beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I love it because women always interject, well, yeah, but this, you really don't know. Well, I don't know who you have in your life, but I know who I have in my life. And so when you interject yourself, and then that's why Candace is so confident sitting on her platform, speaking and saying these things, and then people look at her as a quote unquote authority. But at the end of the day, she has no idea who Erika is as far as behind closed doors. She does know Erika's demeanor and character and what she's witnessed while she was married to Charlie, and she knows she cannot discredit that. But she's going to try, and she's going to do it with people that don't know her. And that's one of the things I think is very interesting, is the fact that I've not met one person who has anything kind to say about Candace, that has had any kind of dealings with her over the past years. And the problem is when they no longer are useful with her, you see what happens. And so that tells a lot about a person's character. And we talked about this before. You can tell them by their fruits. But anyone that can confidently get on a platform of her size and say, my best guess is this, and then to double down on that with zero information, knowing that she's misleading people away. She's very good at dropping these bombs within her people and then walking away and never coming back and retracting or apologizing or correcting the wrong or changing the distorted or nothing like that. She's very good at that. And I will give her that for sure. It's not a good, to me, it is not a skill set that I would love to possess. I would much rather be an authentic person and speak truth. And so when you have that and it's playing out like this, and that's why I brought up the Us Weekly thing, because it was so fascinating to me that you are talking about an article that was never published. So how do you know about this? And people don't question that. And then they find all the excuses to say, oh, but it's this. They find all these, ways to kind of give her a hall pass. And that's why I do think the world wants to believe this so bad. But as time progresses, this will fall apart. She will absolutely, she was raging Monday night. She can't control her emotions long enough. I mean, and I was on the phone with her for an hour. I know what that's like. She's very different on the phone than she is on a platform. That's for sure. And so when you see this and you hear this, having a conversation with this person, but knowing this person, somebody sent me a DM that's really, there's a lot of women that are really struggling with leaving this because they realize they've been lied to.
Yeah.
And they really have. And I've gotten messages that say, I'm gutted right now at the thoughts that I thought I bought into it. There's, what, you can walk away at any given time. You can question anything at any given time. There's no reason to stay because I can tell you right now, none of this stuff for sure. None of it. And if you can't sit here and you can say, I know this factually, then you need to take a seat. And if not, you're going to be pulling yourself into this. And this is why we have the chaos that we have and why, like you said a minute ago, it is 1000% making so much money. And I think it's interesting because I see like the original podcasters, like you mentioned, Ian and Candace and everybody. Then you have the secondary level who comes in and thinks, oh, wow, they're making money. So let me just regurgitate this again and try to push this out again and see if I can get some traction. And it trickles down to these people because they want to be relevant. Well, let me just tell you, the best place to be is in truth. And if you do not know this, and there are things that people have asked me about, Candace, I don't know it to be truthful, so I'm not going to tell you that. Do I have an opinion? Of course I do. And that's what Candace and all these people are. They are opinion commentators, which means they take something and they put their opinion on it, and then the followers perceive its truth because they're in authority. And at the end of the day, they're not. And this will absolutely spiral. And I think that's what bothers Candace more than anything is she can't shake Erika, and she won't. And by pulling me into this, it's very interesting because I know what she's doing. She wants to try to destabilize Erika's circle and her village. And it doesn't happen. First of all, it won't happen. But she's trying to do that to make Erika question and to do these kinds of things. And it's like, well, you may have people in your life that you need to do that. I don't. And so I think that's a lot of it. If you can destabilize someone's circle, if you can isolate them when they're already going through this, because this is absolutely personal. And I don't know if you would agree or disagree, but the attacks on Erika personally have nothing to do with how this started.
Yeah, no, 100%. They constantly, and everybody adopts this. And going back to what you're saying, where Candace constantly just puts speculation,
yes,
her opinions out as fact, and people buy into it. And or again, what we have time and time again is the anonymous sources, unverifiable information, and we have all of the people below her saying, you know what, that's what I can do, and they're replicating this by the thousands on social media, YouTube, and everything else. And they think this is how you get things done. And unfortunately, this is now becoming the norm. And, I've seen this personally. I've seen Candace lie about me personally and spread horrific rumors about me. And she had a whole episode on you.
She had 3 episodes on my family.
And by the way, you talked to her on the phone. Yes. She said she was going to put out a correction and retract what she said about you and your family. And she never has.
Never has. Nope. Yeah. Nope. And she also said that she was going to get a hold of Stu Peters because he's a guy that's just spinning this stuff like I don't know what. And that she didn't know him personally, but he's giving me a headache. That was her words. And I'll let him know he needs to leave you alone because there's nothing here, were her exact words. and we addressed everything. And there were a lot of things that were inaccurate, and she didn't want to hear that. But that's the thing, is that it's like, if I got on your platform and I said something that was incorrect, I would come back right away and correct it, because that's my integrity.
Yeah.
That's my word. And if I'm not sure about something that you ask me, I will tell you, I don't know. And
No.
I have no problem with saying that. But that's where I think that that's where I think the women that are being led astray on this, it's really diabolical when you look at the mind of what's happening. And I know you probably get them. I get DMs that are just vile.
Yeah.
And it's all started from her, because we've lost the humanity and we've lost the plot of what everybody's trying to figure out here. And like you said, the big overarching reason why this is even happening, the disinformation campaign, the division. I'm not your enemy, by the way, but as long as I can keep you thinking that you are, then we can no longer have normal conversations and have solutions. They just can't do it.
Nope. They really can't.
No.
And it's okay to get things wrong. Like, there's several things that I've gotten wrong. And by the way, going back to early September, right after Charlie was killed, all the way to early October, like, I got Ian Carroll posting a video where I was using information that I got third hand from Stephen Gardner. And I did a video. I was like, hey, based on this information, and by the way, I don't know if this information is correct. It turned out it wasn't correct. Here's what I think's going on. And he reposts that. And by the way, I have immediately, once we got new information, I've updated my stance, and I've updated my conclusions based on new information. And by the way, I've been completely open and honest. And there has been multiple times where I got that wrong. And I've come out and said those things. These people don't. And then they sit there and try to pretend like you're doing something wrong. It's like, I have a body of work that you can go back. And that's the problem, is like, it's okay to get things wrong.
Yeah.
But it is completely dishonest when time after time after time, you never correct the record. And by the way, many times Candace Owens and her ilk have basically, accused many different people of essentially being involved in this in one form or another. They've never went back, corrected the record, and never said, hey, you know what? Those people weren't involved now. Like,
no.
No.
And it's interesting too, how, and I think I've said this before, it's like a crazy game of telephone, to where it just gets more and more and more distorted. And that's why I said those different those different levels of podcasters, all the things down to people just creating content because they think they're going to make some money off of it. And they cherry pick specific things. And then my favorite thing, I think my biggest mistake in this, Gary, honestly, was thinking that people really did want the truth.
Yes.
I think that was my biggest mistake, because when I first, did a video about this, because they were using photos that Erika and I had from years past, from different things that we had done and brands and that, and they were distorting them. And so I'm like, oh no, you guys have this wrong, So I went on there to right those wrongs and to turn those distortions into truth. And it's interesting how someone that has almost a 16-year history and was the person actually in those things trying to correct this, I'm the one that is lying.
Yeah.
But yet a created content who's getting paid and monetized for it, and who twists it just enough to make it completely evil or whatever, they're the ones that are speaking truth. Yeah. And so that's where, you hear the word thrown around, discernment, this, that, and the other. We've lost it all.
Yeah.
And it really is sad. I mean, to watch Erika go through this, sitting in my seat, I know without a shadow of a doubt, she will overcome this. And I know that Charlie's legacy will continue. And I have no doubt the plans and things that they want to do will be done. How much destruction can people like this cause? I don't know. Because they are bringing in into trying to destroy a lot of people, but the truth will always stand. You can't argue with the truth. You may not like it, but your opinion of the truth is irrelevant. And I think that ultimately, for me, is a litmus test for people to realize that if you can sit on a platform, and like you said, I possess humility, that if I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you I'm wrong, because I really do want the truth.
Exactly.
And that's why I said that was my biggest mistake, was going into these different places, whether it's a podcast or a comment section or whatever, and saying, oh no, you have that incorrect. I was actually there. I actually saw this. I had these conversations and things like that. And you see that you are the one that is attacked by people that don't know you or Erika and Charlie or her family or anyone. But they are the places of authority, which tells me complete chaos. And we know who runs chaos and the deception. And that to me is where we are right now. And how do we get out of this? That's my whole thing. Whenever I speak to people and I get DMs and messages, I'm like, at the end of the day, when you have truth, you're not shaken by it. When I saw this Daily Mail thing, I literally laughed out loud because I'm like, if I had an interview with Daily Mail, can somebody put it on my calendar? Because I wasn't aware.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like we are, it's disappointing to see how many people are more interested in the narrative than they are the truth. And they'll just tie themselves up in mental, emotional, and logical pretzels to continue to hold, no matter what you show them, and prove that they're wrong. They don't care.
The mental gymnastics is incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Well, listen, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. I saw this today, and I just wanted to get the truth out there as quickly as possible. And I appreciate you jumping on here and talking to us. Leave us with some final words before I let you get out of here.
I just encourage the women that are being kind of pulled into this to just take a second, honestly. And, it's filling a void in your life for some reason. Healthy people don't try to destroy other people. Yeah. And healthy people don't spread lies without being able to actually validate and verify them. And so if that's you, and there's plenty of them out there, I just encourage you, just take a step back for a second and ask yourself, do I know this to be true for a fact? Or do I have a lens and a bias that I'm seeing this through, which means you're never going to be able to see the truth. And that to me is an issue within the person that's taking and consuming, and also the person that's delivering the inaccuracies and refuses to turn things around. So to me, it's self-reflection and asking yourself, do you know this to be true for a fact? And if you don't, take a seat.
Couldn't agree more. Tracey, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for being a good friend to Erika. She's in our prayers, and I know there's a lot of people out there that support her. I think we need to make sure that she knows that. And folks, the other thing I want to know, look, I love that Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff and many other people in TPUSA are coming out fighting and swinging. Let me know if you want to see more of that, because I sure do. And ultimately, I think what has to be done is there has to be a lawsuit, and I'm not going to even ask you about it if that's going to happen or not. I hope it does. I think ultimately that's the thing that's going to deter these people in the future, and ultimately protect Charlie's legacy. I think we're at the point. And but thank you for coming on. Thank you for everything you do, and we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely, anytime. Happy to right the wrongs.
Awesome. Thank you.
Take
Tracey.
care.
All right, folks. So we have multiple guests backstage, and again, the show was supposed to be something else completely, but I want to go ahead and get them on. They've been back there extremely patient. But welcome Eydie Marie, Lisa Rose, and the Misfit Patriot. Thank you guys for coming on. I think what you did.
Hey. How you doing?
So you guys heard what was going on there, and
thanks for having us.
You're welcome. You guys heard what was going on there. Number one, just go around real quick and introduce yourself for people that don't know. And by the way, folks, all of their social media links are down in the description below. These are truth tellers. Go follow them, support them, and everything they do. Eydie, ladies first, so you go ahead.
Hi, all. This is Eydie. I'm Eydie Marie. Yes. I'm a seamstress. I make costumes. The Lord radically saved me on November 1st of 2020, and I've just devoted my life to Him. And I expose darkness whilst in costumes. So hence the wig and some of my get-ups and some of the videos on my channels. But that's what I do. I'm just here exposing darkness and culture and having fun and dressing up while doing it.
Now, Eydie is hilarious. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll see some of the new of the Candy Biker Babes 7,000. Come on, I can't wait to see some more of that. Eydie, yes. You got a little bit of a lag in your internet. I don't know if it's on our side or your side, and I don't know if there's anything you can do to fix it, but either way, we'll work through it. Yeah. Zach, my dude, man.
How you doing, brother? Yeah, Zach, Misfit Patriot. I do a daily news show on LFA TV on Rumble. Just pretty much conservative commentator, and I tend to sort of go after the crazies on both sides. So that's kind of how I got into calling out people like Candace Owens, Ian Carroll, et cetera, even though they're on, the quote right or perceived as right. I don't really, pick favorites, and, so Candace has blocked me. Ian Carroll, I think, has blocked me. Andrew Tate's blocked me. All the other people have blocked me because I just basically call out what I believe to be bad behavior. So
Couldn't agree more. Lisa.
Hello, I am Lisa Knows, your friendly neighborhood debunker, pretty much. Started off in the pro-life space, doing a lot of pro-life activism, debunking pro-choicers and a lot of the stuff that they were saying. Candace started all of her BS, and so then I just started debunking the candy cult and all of their BS because, you know, Google's free and research is really, really not hard. It's actually like 90% of the stuff these people say is so easy to go and look up and find the truth. It takes like it takes about 5 minutes usually to figure out what's actually going on. So yeah, I you know, make video content on TikTok. I'm on X and I'm on Instagram. So
Awesome. Well, welcome all three of you to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody else out there, we will try to get to some questions and definitely will prioritize super chats. We appreciate you guys. But you guys heard just what's going on. You know, Zach, I want to get the guy's perspective real quick. This is just another instance of anonymous sources, unverifiable information that is being used to smear Erika Kirk, and I've just about had enough of it.
yeah, well, I noticed when Tracey was saying, or you were saying something about lawsuits will potentially stop it. And I hate to say it, I don't even know if that will work, because if you think about it, Alex Jones was sued for $1 billion and lost. What's he doing? He's still doing the conspiracy thing. And I think that it's because it's kind of like an addiction. When you view these people through the lens of like yourself, right? You can't figure it out because we're normal people. Right. And the best analogy I can give is like, you know, when you have like an addict or something in the family, and like some of the families in denial, it doesn't matter how obvious it is to everyone around you. The person that's closest to them, they can't really see it, or they just deny it. So that's essentially Candace's followers, right? And her enablers. And the more who I believe she's a narcissist, right? I think that she knows that what she's doing is wrong. I believe she knows she's lying. But the more that she sees that either A, positive, or B, negative attention, the more she's going to keep doing it. And no amount of like punishment is going to stop her. So the solution instead, I believe, is having the majority of the people that are in, quote, the movement or the party reject her. So that's basically what I do, and what I'm seeing a lot more people doing. And I think that once enough people start rejecting her, a lot of people will eventually start going, okay, we got sort of roped into this. And it would be a little bit like the mass exodus red pill moment from the left, when they started getting a little bit too crazy. And now you're seeing the left start to lose support from their own side, because there are a lot of people are waking up. So we just need a wake up moment. But I don't know if a lawsuit will actually do it. I think Candace could be sued into poverty and she'll still have a podcast. She'll be like Britney Spears, playing with knives in her kitchen. You know, it won't matter.
You're probably not wrong. You know what? The thing is, I agree with you on these people like Alex Jones and Candace Owens. The thing that I think the lawsuits will do is deter other people from emulating this, or at least be more careful, hopefully be more truthful about
they have to happen. I don't want to make it seem like I've actually been talking about how they need to be sued. I'm just saying, as far as their behavior, I don't think that would do much in terms of them. But you're right, it would probably discourage other people from making it a business model. So that's where I would see the most benefit in having her sued.
Couldn't agree more. Lisa, what was your take on all of this?
I don't have proof of this, obviously, not 100%, but my opinion, my view, based off the things that have come out over the last 24 hours, I very much think that Candace was behind this article. I think that even just the way that it was written. So literally, I'm reading through the original version. Obviously, we know that they've retracted things now. They've changed things because they had to, because it was atrocious. But the original version that I was reading through yesterday, I'm literally reading through it and I'm like, a candy culture wrote this. Like, this is candy coated 101 to the max. Okay. So you look at the fact that they're talking about Erika's political opponents. Well, first of all, she doesn't have any political opponents, which Candace commented on that. But one of the things that the candy cult has been trying to push forever, if you've been following anything that they say, is that Erika's going to run for president in 2028. She's running for office, guys. She's running for some political position. And they'll just like change out whatever that position is at any various time. You guys remember when they did the thing with JD Vance and the presidential seal was on the front of the podium? And they're like, see, they're trying to get the audience used to seeing her with the presidential seal. Like, I mean, they've been running with that narrative forever. The other thing was just this constant, so she can forgive Tyler Robinson, but she can't forgive her critics like Candace or what was the comedian that came after her? I can't remember his name right now, but that guy. Like, that's been a constant thing that they've done all the time, is because she gave that forgiveness of Tyler during the memorial, which is commanded in the Christian faith, by the way. For anybody that doesn't know, it is literally a commandment from God that we are to forgive those who persecute us. That doesn't mean that you are okay with their actions. That doesn't mean that you don't want consequences. That doesn't mean that you don't want justice. She's not going to sit down and have a beer with Tyler Robinson tomorrow. Obviously, that's not what that means.
And she still wants justice.
Yes.
That is
And she
completely
has said
separate
that.
from forgiveness. And the same thing can be said about Candace Owens. She may end up suing her. She can forgive her. But I mean, I think she should be sued. I think she should be held liable for what she's done to the name brand of Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, and ultimately Erika Kirk as well. Yeah, I forgive you. But guess what? You have damaged our brand. You've damaged my husband's legacy. And I forgive you. But guess what? You need to pay for what you did. You've caused damage. In the same way that if, Lisa, we're friends. If you ran into me with your car, I'm like, hey, not a big deal. Get out your insurance because you're paying for this. You know, I mean, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in the Christian faith, forgiveness for someone who has harmed you, it's not about the other person. It's actually for you so that you can heal. You can start that healing process and you are able to move forward with your own healing process. That actually has nothing to do with the other person. Again, it's not acknowledging their guilt or again, not saying you don't want consequences for them or anything like that. It's fully about you as an individual and your own healing and moving forward. And that's what Erika was saying. I don't want the devil to get a foothold here and try to like turn me into like a raging, angry, bitter person, because that can happen very quickly, right? If you let that happen.
You can see one of those. You can see one of those on the Candace Owens podcast every single day.
Every single day, every evening on your screen. Yeah. And so, yeah, the fact that they were mentioning that in the article of this whole like, oh, so she can forgive Tyler, but she can't forgive all these other people. That has been a very consistent candy cult talking point over and over and over again. So again, so the way that it was even written was very much from the candy cult's perspective. And so I immediately went to the internet and I said, guys, if something seems way too good to be true and it fits your narrative just a little too much, 9 times out of 10, that's because it's BS. You know what I mean?
And there's no evidence behind it at all. There's,
of course, yes.
Weird how all that happens. Eydie, you know, you've kind of taken a different approach to this. I'm getting ready to play one of your videos in a minute. I love the new hotline. I love that whole new shtick. But you've kind of taken the comedic approach to this, which I think is
Do you love that? Okay, and I'm sorry about
it.
the lag. I tried to fix it. I don't know if it's fixed, so we'll just keep going with it. But yeah, there's a tip line now. You can call and give Candyland Biker Babe 7000 all the goss, and she will run with it. But if you try to give her facts, she's just
let's
no room for
play
that
this
there.
video right here because it is hilarious. Folks, go follow Eydie Marie. And matter of fact, everybody on here, if you're not following me on X, make sure you fix that too. But this is great.
Wow. I need this new headband here. It's got flowers.
What's it got on there?
They're brown. Right.
Order me one too, will you, please?
Chocolate.
I'm here looking for some
Flower headband. Extra large. Did you say what Jen, the producer, is
Oh,
spinning
don't
over
get me
there?
started.
The working for the enemy.
Enemy.
Oh, thank you for calling Coalition of the Candies tip line, where we don't know, but we know. You can refer to me as Candyland Biker Babe 7000.
Oh.
You need to know my real identity. May I have your name, social, blood type, and mother's maiden name?
I just called to give a tip. I'm not giving you all that.
Well, try calling back when you're ready to provide that.
So wrong. You know, they arrested
What do you mean,
for
Andrew was
no
arrested?
reason. He was arrested for no
When will
reason.
this
Look at this.
end?
Look
When
at
will
this.
the madness
Look at
and
this.
Candy
I know.
Oh,
Candace
Andrew.
is probably her adrenal glands. They're all the way up. You
Did
know
you see that outfit?
that? Yes,
Chef's
it was.
kiss right there for that outfit. Thank you for calling Coalition of the Candies tip line, where we don't know, but we know. You can refer to me as Candyland Biker Babe 7000. You need to know my real identity. May I have your name, mother's maiden name, social, date of birth, blood type? Hello?
You ever just sit here and think there was a time Candace didn't exist? What was life?
Thank you for calling the Coalition of the Candies tip line, where we don't know, but we know. You can refer to me as Candyland Biker Babe 7000. You need to know my real identity. May I have your full name, full social, date of birth, mother's maiden name, and your blood type, please?
Yes, my name is Jane Smith.
Okay.
And my mother's maiden name is Goldstein. Goldstein. Hello?
Your mother's maiden name is Goldstein.
Goldstein, yeah.
Try calling back when you have a different mother. Continue. What is
Yeah,
your...
this is Tyler Robinson. I just want you to know that I actually did it. I did it.
Okay. Well, you know what?
And,
Try
I'm
calling
confessing
back
right
when you
now.
have something a little more
But
concrete.
I did it.
Thank you.
I did it.
Yeah, this explains twigs. I have a signed
You have a
confession
signed confession?
from Tyler.
No,
I have him
no.
on camera saying
That
that
ain't
he
right.
did it.
Something ain't right.
He
Do
did it.
better, okay?
Why
That's
don't
not
you-
what we rely on here.
He did
Thank
it.
you. You have a signed confession.
Yeah,
And what
signed-
are your vibrations telling you about that? Do you think it's accurate?
What do you mean he confessed to doing
I know that he confessed verbally on camera, and he
I don't
gave you a
have any
signed
feeling
confession.
other than
but
I just wanted
how
to
are you
report
feeling
this.
about that? Do you feel like it's right?
I don't
or do you
know.
think that
He
this
he
is
just
some more
confessed
fed
he's
fluff?
covered in blood. He confessed
I
that
understand.
He
He
did
is the one who said it.
Charlie Kirk came to me in a dream last night and told me,
We got a dreamer.
Well done, Eydie.
Good.
Well done. Well done. I got a few things that I want to get you guys started.
Thank you.
Hilarious.
That was great.
That is, make sure you guys go follow him. All right, so time for a little rage bait. A little rage bait. I think that's important because there's a lot to be discussed of that when it comes to the candy cult. And what we have here is a very well-known source of the complete nonsense. And I'm going to play this first and let you guys
as
listen.
heroes. Here's the
Listen.
problem. We have to stop elevating these people as heroes. We have to call them what they are. Welfare queens. These are welfare queens.
Oh.
Every time these people get on a Gulfstream 5 and fly across the country and you're subsidizing it, you go to work, your business pays taxes, you pay income taxes on everything you make so that people who donate to them don't have to pay taxes. And if they turn a profit, they don't have to pay taxes. Every time that happens, we need to name them and shame them. We need to stop giving them standing ovations when they go and speak. They're getting rich off of our tax money. We have to start calling them what they are. Welfare queens. Erika Kirk is a welfare queen. She is a welfare queen. So's Tyler Boyer. So's Andrew Colvette. So's Mikey McCoy. Welfare queens. Some of them, queen is probably a very apt description as heroes. Here's the problem.
Is he a Democrat? Is he on the left?
People as heroes.
Exactly. I
It
want to
sounds
read
it sounds exactly like Hassan Piker.
100%. Baron Coleman now resorts to communist talking points to attack Charlie and Erika Kirk. And make no mistake, this is an attack on Charlie Kirk. Baron Coleman, the failed lawyer turned full-time YouTube grifter and con artist, just called Erika Kirk a welfare queen in his latest attack. This is not about Erika. This is a direct assault on Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, and the donors who support the causes they champion. TPUSA is one of the most effective conservative organizations in history. Listen, folks, when there is a when you get a tax deduction or you have an organization that is tax exempt, that's not your money. That's not the government's money. If I want to take my money, get a tax deduction and support someone else, and I get a tax, support a cause, that's not your money. This is the same talking points of the left. It's like all these people that are getting tax deductions are stealing from you. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen somebody that claims to be a conservative. That's like me saying, hey, you know what? When Baron Coleman gets a tax deduction because of his kids, his family, whatever else, he uses it to buy a car. He's using my money to buy his car. This is the biggest, like the mask is slipped. They're telling you exactly who they are. Charlie and TPUSA were the reason President Trump's 2024 victory. They champion Christian values, shape culture for the better, and drive real political influence every single day. Listen to the leftist language Barron uses regarding tax dollars. They use our tax dollars. No, they don't. They use money. The money they used isn't tax. That money is not yours or the government's. This is socialist communist speak 101. It's the same old worn out Democrat message of envy and greed. All Barron and Candace do is destroy, slander, and smear for profit. They tear down Christian organizations and the good people fighting for this country so they can rake in millions from views, sponsorships, and super chat. Their entire model is destruction, lies, and deception for profit. Who we must stop elevating are these YouTube con artists. They do not create. All they do is steal, kill what is good, and destroy while making millions doing it. Mm-hmm. Who are the real villains here? Mm-hmm. But that's what's happening, folks. These people are kind of letting us know exactly who they are.
Well, this is why we call it. Well, I said it last time I was on your show talking about the woke right. Like people think woke is a left term. It's not. It means awake, right? And who are they awake to? Their oppressor. So, like I said, it started off with the black community back in like the 1900s, where they kind of had an oppressor. I wouldn't, go full send on that, but then in the early 2000s, the left just stole it and said, we're awake to our oppressor. Who are their oppressor? Everybody, right? It's like capitalists, the cis white men, everybody, right? And now the woke right, their oppressor is pretty much Jews, globalists, and now they're moving into the Marxist communist tactic of, all right, everybody that makes more money than me is now my oppressor. They're taking my tax dollars. And it's like, okay, I'm all for rallying against taxes, right? If it were up to me, I think we should throw the tea in the harbor again. But I'm not saying to private 501cs who are using funding, which is basically private donors to get out the vote or to do some type of charity work. And because they have a tax exemption, I'm not blaming them. I would be blaming the government who's taxing me, not the people who are, I guess you could say, taking advantage of tax law, right? This is the same argument that Hillary Clinton tried using on stage with Donald Trump in their debate. Did you take the tax? He goes, of course I did. Because why didn't you change the tax law, right? He's like, all your donors use it. Of course I'm going to use it. But even still, I wouldn't even go that far as to say that that TPUSA is some type of nefarious entity for using current tax law with 501c3, because, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they just going to give extra taxes away because of what? Some type of just weird morality? They already give all of their money back to. Well,
and that's the other thing that he was able to slide in there. I don't know if people caught it or not. On their profits, they don't even have to pay taxes on their profits.
Sure,
folks, it's a nonprofit. They don't have profits. They use that.
Charlie Kirk made his money by doing his own on top of his 501c3. He made his money by doing speaking engagements, by doing all sorts of event planning, and it doesn't. I'm a capitalist. Of course I'm okay with that, right? And like I don't really make a lot of money offline, but if somebody offered me, I don't know, $5,000 to go speak at an event, I wouldn't go, no, I'm sorry, I'm against taxes. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
Couldn't agree more. Lisa?
I mean, if you want to see what Turning Point does, we saw it on full display here in Arizona yesterday. Their ground game was impeccable. We took home so many wins for the Republican Party. It was red across this state yesterday. People came out to vote in a primary in numbers that we haven't even seen. Katie Hobbs is shaking in her boots with the numbers that Andy Biggs pulled last night. And he pulled those numbers because it's bittersweet, but he is one of the last major candidates that Charlie Kirk ever endorsed, obviously before he died. And, you know, the general election that we're going to have in November, that'll be the last of the hand-picked Charlie Kirk candidates. And so, yeah, that's going to be bittersweet, I think. But I mean, I went out to vote yesterday. There were Turning Point Action tents, like at tons of polling places. The polling place that I went to, there were 2 Turning Point Action tents. They were out there making sure that people had any questions answered. They were talking to voters. They even were able to flip some voters right there outside of the polling places, like on the sidewalk, being able to just have conversations with people. They had Scott Pressler here running. If there were any problems, you know, everybody knows the infamous 2022 where in Maricopa, all of our printers went down and nothing was working. I think yesterday they had one place in Scottsdale and one place over in Glendale that they had some issues, but that was pretty much it. It has been pretty much curbed compared to what it was in 2022. And that's all good. That's all because of Justin Heap, which Turning Point got Justin Heap into his position, and he's our election. He monitors all of our elections now. So all that to say, like, Turning Point is absolutely doing what Charlie set them up to do. The ground game that they have introduced into our elections with ballot chasing and all of that, he built a machine. And so for these people that are saying that Turning Point is in a 180 completely different direction from what Charlie intended it, no, it's not. Look at these elections. Look at what they're turning out with candidates. That is what he built it and designed it to do, and they are doing it perfectly. I would say that they are above and beyond even what they did in 2024, and we are going to see it full front this year with the midterms.
I hope you're right on the midterms. Yeah, and you know the other crazy part about this is they'll attack Turning Point and they'll sit there and pretend that they're like some feckless, greedy nonprofit when we see them actually doing what they're supposed to do. And there's lots of nonprofits out there that are corrupt. Turning Point is not one of them. They were under the microscope during the Biden administration. They were trying to put Charlie Kirk in jail. And again, that was one of the reasons he cried when Donald Trump was elected. And they continue to put forth great candidates. The thing that I think it highlights their hypocrisy in all this is Candace actually went against Nick Shirley and was calling him out while he's exposing corruption in these Democrat states. Suddenly, there's someone else in the spotlight that she feels threatened by for some reason. And she's trying to question his integrity and his credibility when she has none as any sort of journalist whatsoever. She's not a journalist. She's an entertainer that sells lies. That's what she does every single night and convinces people of total horseshit, to be honest with you.
Well, isn't it interesting that you can sort of find the pattern of who Candace or who these people in general, her little circle, her like the woke right podcastistan circle, who are they going after, right? They're going after Nick Shirley. They're going after TPUSA. So what I see is they're going after an independent journalist who's exposing fraud, and they're going after the largest conservative get out the vote organization in the country, right? A lot of people see this as some petty drama from Candace. I see it as an intentional operation to break apart the right-wing movement. I think I see the same thing with Nick Fuentes. Who has Candace Owens like not called out, right? Like Candace Owens has not called out the left. I don't see her calling out the left. I don't see her calling out Democrats. I don't see her.
Democrats aren't calling her out either.
You know, that's the funny thing, right? But I don't see these people. I don't see Tucker Carlson calling out Islam. I see him calling out the Jews. I don't see, any of these people. I see them specifically targeting. And there's this, just asking questions nonsense, right? But nobody seems to ask that question of them. Like, I have a question. Why isn't Candace Owens talked about Andrew Tate, right? Since his little dust up. Well, I mean, her husband's really good friends with him, right? I mean, but we're talking about the Epstein files. They ask about the Epstein files, and the Epstein files, why are they talking about that so much? Well, because it was weaponized to hurt the Trump administration and blame Trump for something that was going on for 20 years with 3 other administrations. And I see them doing this very specifically, very targeted, and I don't believe in coincidences. So I'm like, oh, this is probably just a controlled opposition operation, right? Whether they know they're part of it or not, whether they're just being useful idiots by getting their accounts boosted and just sort of continuing the narrative is irrelevant. I believe that it's a controlled opposition operation where they are trying to exacerbate certain targets of these people, and they are trying to very carefully lead them away from other targets because they're looking at their algorithms, they're looking at their analytics, and they're looking at what sells. And right now, attacking TPUSA, Jews, etc., Epstein file, it all sells. That's what it is. It's a sensationalist cult bubble that I believe is carefully tailored by the powers that be.
Well, and the other just comedic level irony in all this. Here she is, friends with the Tate brothers, and she's accusing Erika Kirk not just of being part of a conspiracy to kill her own husband,
Romania,
but also part of child trafficking in Romania. Where do the Tate brothers live?
Romania, or not anymore.
Wow.
Right now they live in a jail cell.
Yeah, in a jail cell. They live in Romania, and what are they being charged with?
Sex trafficking.
Oh, that's so crazy. It's like she has a great story right there, one with facts, evidence. I don't know if they're guilty or innocent, and I don't really care. What I can tell you is all you got to do is go back and look at some of their previous videos where they intentionally saying, I just watched a video last night of Andrew Tate saying women are programmable. Yeah. And then he lays out a formula for doing it, and I can't even talk about it on the show right now. Yeah. It is disgusting. There are video of him beating women and abusing people. And by the way, there's lots of evidence of him having relationships and trafficking underage children. But let's not worry about that. And then we talk about the Epstein files. We got John Mappin. He's literally in the Epstein files. There's a recording of him that is very damning. So, sit here and pretend that, oh, you know what? There's this Epstein class running the country. No, you are the Epstein class, lady.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I actually look at more about what people don't talk about than what they do talk about. When Candace Owens goes off every day about the stupid stuff, I don't really try to get too involved in it. I very carefully sit back and wait for my time to sort of strike, and when it's in the news cycle. But what I have noticed is sitting in the background, I'm noticing when people play her little clips, I'm like, oh, that's very. I look at the same thing with Nick Fuentes, right? I look at the same thing with Ian Carroll. I'm like, it seems like there's got to be somebody, and I hate to sound conspiratorial. It seems like there's got to be somebody feeding these people a script, right? Where it's like they're literally specifically going after certain demographics, and the only people it hurts is MAGA and the right. It's the only, they never call out the people who are I don't know, the people trying to cut your kids' genitals off. They never go after I haven't seen them talking about the fraud that Nick Shirley has talked. I've only seen them going after Nick Shirley. I haven't seen them talking about Islam. I've seen them talking about the Jews. I haven't seen them talking about the Democratic Socialists of America, but Tom Massey, he was actually partnered up with IPAC, who's in line with the Democratic Socialists of America, and he's partnering with Ro Khanna. And you have these people defending Ro Khanna, and I'm like, when the hell did we start defending Ro Khanna? So
they're not even talking about Mondani up in New York.
They're not talking about Mondani. They're not talking about Gavin Newsom. They're not talking. That's what I'm saying. Nick Fuentes is actually saying vote Gavin Newsom. So it's not just about who they're talking about. Who they're talking about is very obvious. Right. And they're trying to disguise it as this, justice. I mean, it's like this Nancy Drew mystery where they're getting all their followers to sort of be part of this little, weird video game. But who are they not talking about? They're not talking about the giant threats to this country, China, Qatar, Iran. They're talking about Erika Kirk, and they're talking about Jews. I don't know, who else?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Yeah, they
files every 5 minutes.
Yep, Donald Trump. Exactly. So I would start to ask if they're gonna promote this whole asking questions strategy of the internet. Let's start asking questions. Candace, did your husband introduce you to Andrew Tate, and then 17 days later you got married to your husband? Did your husband take the pimping hose degree course? Did Andrew Tate tell your husband that he was supposed to find a woman who was a stupid Well, just a stupid, obedient person, knock them up, get married, and pump out a bunch of kids to keep them as a sex slave.
Hold on. I think ultimately after she met Tate, I think she took that course, and that's why she ended up marrying in George. I'm just saying.
I'm kind of joking, but at the same time, it is kind of interesting how Andrew Tate taught a course on how what you're supposed to do is find subservient women who will do whatever you want, get them pregnant, pump out a bunch of kids as fast as possible, and you lock them down forever. George Farmer does that with Candace Owens. I don't know. Maybe he took the course. But I don't even like playing their game. And, I just like to use it as a point of hypocrisy, pointing out hypocrisy. And if you were to use their own strategy against them, if you stress test them with their own strategies, they fail miserably, right? Like Andrew Tate's followers are accusing me of having child porn because of some grok hallucination. He literally was just really actually arrested for child porn. I wasn't, right? It's like, it's straight out of the Communist Manifesto. Accuse your enemy of what you yourself are guilty of.
Couldn't agree more. I was about to go to Eydie. She's clearly having a little bit of connection issue, but let's take some super chats, and then there's another couple videos I want to get you guys' takes on. Crystal says, finally caught you live. I always watch after the fact. Thanks, Gary, for all you do. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys again. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our content. We really appreciate that. If you'd like to become a member and support us financially, we really appreciate that. It's a few bucks a month, and it goes a long way to support the channel. Here's a drink on me, Gary, for CJ's birthday, of course. Bush League, big guy, thank you very much, buddy. And happy birthday, CJ. Britta, No Soup for Knowles, another great
that's my girl.
account. If you are not following her on X, you should be. Tyler took Charlie's life. Candace is trying to steal his legacy, destroy his loved ones, and rewrite his life story. And it is, folks, I find it more evil.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not afraid to die. But I can't think of anything worse than after I pass, people take everything that I do, turn it against my family, and bring, just drag my wife through the mud. Say that she killed me and that she was some sort of child sex trafficking. I mean, it doesn't get any worse.
I would say that Candace Owens is more evil than Tyler Robinson, because Tyler Robinson was indoctrinated, right? Somebody convinced him that Charlie Kirk was evil. Candace Owens is the convincer. She's the one who's trying to indoctrinate somebody else. And I don't know if I said this to you last time or if I said it on my show. I honestly think she's trying to get Erika Kirk killed. I really believe that. I think that she would feel like a god. And I think that's why people do this. This is essentially, the left sort of had a monopoly on this cancel culture, social justice type style of, Marxist online terrorism, like cyber terrorism. Candace Owens has adopted it, right? She took Alex Jones's conspiracy culture and she combined it with cancel culture, and she's turned it into just this monster where I think, and she's been named in 2 different mass shooter manifestos, by the way. Like Candace Owens has been named personally in 2 different shooter manifestos. So it's not really a theory. She's definitely dangerous, but I think that if Candace Owens was to turn on the news tomorrow and Erika Kirk was assassinated, I think she would feel like a god, because she would be like, I made that happen. And that is such a dangerous person.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think she's in this for the influence. Influence just automatically comes with money. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I agree. I think that Candace, at least Tyler's honest about what he did.
Yeah. Tyler believes him. Tyler believes what he did was right.
Yeah. Or at least he did at one point. Sounds like he regrets it according to testimony.
Sure. Yes.
Heard in the preliminary hearing. But she wants to sit here and pretend that that's not what she's doing.
Yeah. And that's why Erika probably forgave Tyler Robinson. And I don't think she should forgive Candace, but I'm a bad Christian, right? I mean, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a good one. I don't do the forgiveness thing that easily. But no, when the people try to use that gaslighting, oh, she can forgive Tyler Robinson, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, that actually does make a lot of sense. Like, I would forgive somebody who was tricked to eat the apple. I wouldn't forgive the one who told the person to eat the apple, If that analogy makes sense, you know. So I think that Candace Owens is worse. She might not have physical blood on her hands, but I think that she's definitely trying to influence useful idiots, impressionable people who are just lost and misguided, into doing something on her behest. So she wants to be able to get away with murder. It's a power thing. Cancel culture is control culture.
Couldn't agree more. CJ, thank you for 10 Paramount Tactical memberships. And again, happy birthday, buddy. Grace Papaccio says, she said she built TPUSA with Charlie Kirk. She doesn't realize she was the help, or does she? The jealousy must be so painful for her. It's flowing out of her like vomit. She literally said, I was a mason of TPUSA and I helped build TPUSA. She was there for 17 months, folks. She was there for 17 months.
Yeah, I only remember seeing her on like 2 or 3 videos. I remember there was one video where she said she looked like kind of bitchy, and she goes, she wouldn't answer a question, and she said something, get a helmet. I'm too pregnant for this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember her being a big voice in the TPUSA videos. I don't remember her being like a great debater. I just remember her be kind of latching on to Charlie Kirk.
Agreed. Osmo says, I can attest I've been lied to and figuring that out. Once you realize how horribly you've been gaslit and lied to, there's no turning back from that. Folks, let me tell you something. I know everybody on this panel gets a lot of heat for telling you the truth. One day, come thank us, because we're telling you the truth. We're telling you, and you may be full in a full conspiratard right now. All right. But I'm telling you, folks, you're being lied to. And when you're done, and I get these emails, comments now all the time. They're happening at a much higher frequency, and I appreciate it. And that is probably the only thing I'm going to get out of this.
Silver lining, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, when I see those emails, Gary, I hated you. I thought this and this and this, and I started seeing what you were saying, and I apologize. I'm sorry, but thank you for doing what you're doing. I see those all the time now. So vindication was the word I was looking for. That's probably the only vindication I'm gonna get, and I'm happy with it, because it's our job to tell you the truth. I mean, my God, folks, have a little bit, put your integrity over a narrative that you like or you enjoy or you find fun and exciting. Have some integrity, for God's sakes. Thank you for the super sticker, Cindy. We appreciate that. She shows Charlie Kirk text using the F word. He didn't use it. She wants to soil his memory and destroy his legacy, but we know you, Charlie. I am Charlie. They're trying to silence us, smaller accounts on X, getting us shadow banned when we only try to correct misinformation and challenge their claims. This is exactly right. The other wild thing that I know you all are very aware of is you can, like the other day, I put out a tweet. You got fired from TPUSA, which, by the way, she did. She did get fired. Like, and then I almost immediately got hit with a community note. And they could put out the demonstrable lie on a tweet, and for some reason they can't get community noted at all. That's not what community notes are, to quibble over whether or not somebody got fired or was let go. They can claim one thing. I know from the source that she got fired. Yeah. She got fired. Charlie pushed her out, and she was told Charlie told people to give her a soft landing. They found her a position at PragerU.
Oh, there's a text with Charlie saying we got to deal with the Candace problem. No, it was pretty much well known. I heard about that probably a couple months after it happened. I'm sure you know people in TPUSA. I know people in TPUSA. I heard that from an inside source, but obviously I wasn't posting about it because, unlike Candace, I didn't want to go down that road. But the thing about you were talking about with you get silenced or throttled or community noted, they're doing the same thing that the left did with TikTok, where they're using a lot of fake engagement, algorithmic workarounds, bots, and I think that there's a outside influence from foreign adversaries. I believe that. I don't care if it's Russia, China, Qatar, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
But when you say you're a smaller account getting throttled, I think that they're kind of telling on themselves, because I keep hearing all the time from people on their side, oh, I get no reach. Like Alex Brucewitz the other day was like on Megyn Kelly talking about me, and he goes, oh, this guy Misfit Patriot doesn't get any reach, so he must be being paid by Israel. And I'm like, if I'm getting no reach, then why the hell would they pay me? right? It's like, it sounds like you think that you have a lot of reach, but you're talking about me, which means that I'm sort of in the conversation and the numbers actually don't matter. If I'm in the conversation, apparently I have the reach.
Yeah.
And I think that they're trying to message that popularity equals credibility, right? So I said this to Ian Carroll. Ian Carroll was like, oh, people wouldn't be agreeing with me if I didn't have something. I go, okay, Dylan Mulvaney says he's a little girl, right? And he's got more followers than you. By your logic, he's a girl, right? Because surely he wouldn't be able to convince a bunch of people that he doesn't have a penis with that many followers, right? And it sort of shuts down that conversation. Popularity doesn't mean credibility.
Doesn't mean truth.
People love watching car accidents. Jerry Springer was the #1 show in the 90s. Howard Stern was the #1, radio show. It's sensationalism, and I would guess that it's a lot of it is fake too.
Agreed.
It's the
Eydie?
classic.
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No,
It's
go
the-
ahead, Lisa.
It's the classic appeal to majority fallacy, right? There was a whole lot of people that supported slavery at one point too, but now we look at it and we're like absolutely shocked and horrified by it, right? So just because you can get a lot of people on board with something does not mean that it is correct, does not mean that it is the truth, or that it's right. And I was gonna say, X is definitely the worst out of all the platforms as far as the bots being absolutely out of control.
I would say
As soon as
TikTok,
you
but
go-
X is close.
As soon as you get onto other platforms, I don't have I have a lot more support in my comments on Instagram, even
100%.
TikTok. Every once in a while, I'll get some bots on TikTok, but even TikTok is more pro Turning Point, pro Erika Kirk. X is definitely where the hardcore candy cult resides for sure.
Well, I have a theory about why X is like that. I think that Elon has been sort of trying to make up for his horrible mistake of just buying that company for way too much. And he needs to sell to advertisers. So I think that he knows that there's a lot of fake engagement on the app, and he just doesn't care because he's using it to sell the popularity of the app, which is, it's great and everything, except I don't think anybody's really sat him down and been like, do you understand that what you're doing, right? You might think it's a victimless crime, but what you're doing is you're allowing the conversation to be steered in a direction in this country on the quote largest app because you've made it the largest app when it might not actually be the conversation, right?
Sure.
So Elon, who constantly talks about how he's all about the truth and free speech and everything like that, he's too smart to not know that Ian Carroll, who I could walk down the street right now and ask 100 people who that guy is, and nobody will know, right? He's not ratioing you, Elon. Everyone knows who you are. He makes one comment and gets more likes than you. You have to know it's fake, and you're not doing anything about it. And I think that that's kind of one of the problems is I think that we need to figure out how to get these social media platforms to, without restricting somebody's First Amendment rights, figure out how to get people to have an accurate representation of the conversation of ideas in America. One of my theories is just use the facial recognition thing, just be like, just like they do with the recent porn restrictions, the laws that came into effect. All you got to do is just so that they know you're a human when you're tweeting instead of a bot. You just use the facial recognition thing, and it's like, okay, you're good, you're a person. Don't give your ID or anything like that, but just at least make sure you're a person. I think that would be a small step.
Eydie, what's your thoughts on that?
Is that because are we talking about the toxicity of social media? Is that what
You can talk about whatever you want.
Okay. Let me just tell you. Can I tell you guys something? I have had an X account since 2016, but I was only following Helen Keller. Do you guys follow Helen Keller on X? So Benjamin.
I follow her because she can't see me coming.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry. Helen. I will die in a second over a Helen Keller joke. But anywho, obscure moderator was like, you got to get on X. Hey, Benjamin. So when I joined, I was like, people can't be that bad on here. Heavens, I was so wrong. Let me tell you, these candy people are crazy. They're the craziest people I have ever encountered. And why? Why are you guys like that? It is a horrible place. It is a horrible place. And I just missed the days when I was looking at the Helen Keller memes where she was like posting pictures of her house burning down. And she said, I just wanted to make some toast. You guys have to follow Helen Keller. It's crazy. And Candace she has a full-blown cult on X. I mean, yeah, she's on YouTube, but her X following, excuse me, is, oh, am I losing my voice as well? Is ridiculous. And her culties will literally do whatever she tells them to do. And she uses subliminals as well. So she can say all day, like, I'm not calling for harm to come to Erika. I'm not doing this. I'm not. Girl, we know what you're saying. Everybody knows what you're saying. And your
Yeah.
lunatic cult members really want to do harm to Erika. Like, she's an actual danger.
Yeah.
The people
Yeah.
that Candace highlights, she's putting them in actual danger. And there should be laws in place protecting
Well,
people. I know there wasn't a precedent. Go ahead.
You got to remember, Charles Manson never killed anybody, right?
Oh,
Like
right.
he
Mhm.
didn't. He told other people to do it, you know.
Mhm.
And this is what this is. I've talked about this before. It's called stochastic terrorism, and I think we need to start having a conversation about how we do regulate stochastic terrorism. Stochastic terrorism is essentially when you use propaganda and influence to get other people to do violence on your behalf. This is how Hitler's rise to power came from Joseph Goebbels and everybody else, right? The propagandists, like, you know, because you need other people. Like we were just talking about the popularity thing. Mao had a ton of popularity. Stalin, Lenin, Hitler, all very, very popular, right? Popular doesn't mean right, because they used stochastic terrorism. It's a communist and Marxist tactic. And I don't want to restrict anybody's free speech, but I think that we do need to figure out how we can figure out who online is using their platform in a certain way to drum up violence. And like I said, I don't want to go down a road of like giving the government power over speech. But on our side, in the space, we should have a conversation about calling out stochastic terrorism, call it propaganda.
Well, the antidote to this is people quit being afraid, because
Yes.
no, we don't
Yes.
want the government. We don't want the government intervening and
I
telling
agree.
us what we can or can't say, or telling us what's true or not true. And we don't want social media doing it.
Yeah, it has to be self-policed.
What it requires is people that are out there watching this. When you see lies being propagated, you stand up to it, because there are more of us than them. All right, we have truth, we have God, we have evidence, we have logic on our side, and all you got to do is quit being afraid that Ian Carroll is going to ratio you. Nobody gives a crap. So I want to move on real quick to this particular video, because this really does kind of encapsulate what we're dealing with on social media, especially on the woke right. So this is a
Fishback.
video of James Fishback, and I want you guys to listen to it, and then we're going to talk about somebody that responded to this and how crazy the response was to it.
Now let's talk about the voting documents. So you did in fact vote once in your life in Washington, D.C., correct?
That is correct.
So you voted in a state you live in?
I've never voted in any other state other than Florida. I have never voted.
So the voter records are wrong?
Washington, D.C. that has no voter ID, that has absolutely no proof of anything. Yeah, I never voted in Washington, D.C. I don't know why they would say that.
Now let's talk about the voting documents. So you did in fact vote once in your life in Washington, D.C., correct?
That is correct.
So you voted in a state you live in?
I've never voted in any other state other than Florida. I have never.
All right, so we have it is clear that James Fishback, a leader in the woke right, lied. It's objectively a lie. Now, even if he was somebody that I supported, I would question everything I said, and I would be the first to admit, like, yeah, this is my guy, but he lied. I want you to see the response from this clown right here. He is a clown on X. His name is Uncle Tom. We'll talk about him more in a second. You didn't tag him because you know he'd ratio the F out of you.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go to my response on this right here. Anyways, this is just right here. All right, this is a perfect example of what you pause floppers actually prioritize: narrative over truth. You have zero interest in the facts, and it's disgusting. He lies outright, yet your pathetic response is he'd ratio you. You're corrupt to the core as any dirty politician, and you don't even care. So this is what these people care about, and this is why you can get down in the comments, and you can prove Candace Owens and other people, or Democrats or liberals, whatever wrong with the facts. They know it's not true. They know what they're pushing isn't true, but they put agenda over the truth every single time. The narrative is more important to preserve and protect than the truth. And by the way, this clown right here, what's funny is he'll get on spaces and he constantly is talking about how people like me and other people that are pushing back on Candace want to suppress Candace's voice. Like, don't want her to talk, don't want her to have a platform. I've never said that. I attack Candace on her lies. And by the way, I go onto his space and immediately when I request to speak, he's like, oh, there's Paramount Tactics. We're not letting him talk. We're not letting him talk because he's just a Fed slopper. No, you don't want, number one, you're the one suppressing voices. You're the one that's full of hypocrisy. You can't stand the facts because your arguments, your belief system can't withstand actual facts and evidence.
Well, isn't it the same thing that the left does when they try to, talk about democracy and popular vote and how the entire country has the same opinion as these little pockets and bubbles, these high concentrated population areas and these blue cities? It's the same thing, but the online version, right? Where the left will try to say it's like, oh, the majority of people agree with me. I'm like, yeah, well, the majority of people may be in like California or Massachusetts or Chicago or New York City. But then you look at the rest of the country and the rest of the country doesn't agree with you, which is why they focus on popular vote, because they think that popularity, or they can sell popularity by indoctrinating a large group of people into these pockets. But when you look at the United States of America, the reason why the United States of America is so great is because we split up the United States of America into 50 states and had the Electoral College, so we would have a diverse culture, a political culture.
Right.
Right.
Our founders clearly understood
Yeah.
that mob rule wasn't the way to go about
Exactly. Yeah. And like in a democracy, the last democracy, real true democracy, was 4th century Greece, which was responsible for the death of the Spartans. But you come all the way towards our system of constitutional republic. In a constitutional republic, 1% of the country can't tell 99% of the country what to do. What they want is a democracy where 51% of the country can tell 49% of the country what to do by simply arguing popularity. And if they do that, then they can say that this is the popular opinion, right? And that's why they use ratios. That's also why the left, again, I'm trying to use this analogy properly. That's why the left wants to flood a bunch of illegal immigrants into sanctuary cities, because they just more voters, right, means more popularity and more people. And if more people agree with me, then this is what the policy should be. That's why the DSA wants to get rid of the Electoral College and the Senate, and they want to try to push that message where it's the popularity. So if you look at it, these people really truly are the woke right. They truly are Marxists. They truly are engaging in that behavior.
It's globalism repackaged for the right. It's communism repackaged for the right. It's authoritarianism repackaged for the right. Lisa, your thoughts on that?
I think that they've had the ability to show their true colors, and they just pick the worst person every single. Why are we defending James Fishback? I mean, of all people, what are we doing right now?
He hates Jews. That's why he hates Jews.
Yeah.
Don't forget black people.
Yeah.
This is the guy that literally could not show his residency in Florida, right? So didn't he just like randomly grab some chick that he married? Doesn't even know this girl. It was basically an arrangement for literally an arrangement for politics so that he can be married on paper, because he was committing illegal election campaigning by not having proper residency in the state. And so he just grabbed some random Florida girl and is like, you're my wife now so that I can run in this state. Like that's what we're doing now. Like,
was his romance little thing longer than Candace's? I'm not sure.
17 days. No, I think he said it was a couple of months. I think he said it was 2 months.
Okay, so Candace even hasn't beat on that one. But like, what in the world is going on right now?
Well, that's the other thing. If you look at Fishback's Kalshi odds, it's like 1 or 3%. And then you look at the polls that he puts polls online, these X polls, very similar strategy to what Thomas Massey was doing, where he's like beating Byron Donalds, because these people actually, they really do believe that the internet's like real life and they can try to sell it that way. But the funny thing is, this was actually my show this morning. I do a show, and this Fishback thing was the feature, where I was like, why are they doing this? Right? Why are people like Valentina Gomez, who's like an Andrew Tate simp, who was like, I'm against AIPAC, but also I'm against Muslims, and going in to run in Texas after getting just destroyed with like 7% of the vote in another county? Why are they getting into politics, right? Why are they trying to run in races? They can't win. right? Because the internet's not real life. And my theory is, right, are they sensationalist grifters who actually believe they have a shot and they're actually just using the political space to boost their popularity? Yes. Are they also being boosted by, let's call it opposition? Because, you know, when people say opposition, it could be foreign adversaries, it could be controlled opposition through the Democrat Party or NGOs in this country, but let's just call it opposition. Also, yes. So the answer is these people are weirdos who live in the internet who think that they have an actual shot, but they're also being boosted where they're getting the fake engagement and they're getting all this popularity, which is because the left understands that they made a mistake elevating the crazies in their party. Was their solution to actually fix that problem and come back towards the middle? No. What they want to do is they want to create the problem on the right. So they're exacerbating the problem on the right while not fixing it on their side so that they can have the argument, well, both sides are bad. And what it is, it's chaos theory. That way, the New World Order comes in and goes, look, both parties are garbage. So what you need to do is you need to have this collective, which is why Tucker Carlson's pushing that, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that these are just useful idiots. Right, like James Fishback, I think that he's just a useful idiot who actually like has this delusion of grandeur. But I would put money on it that he's being boosted artificially through some type of psyop against us and the people. Same thing with Andrew Tate. Same thing with Candace Owens. Same thing with Tucker Carlson. Same thing with Nick Fuentes.
Eydie?
Okay, so I'm not the political person here. For the longest, this is only last year. Oh. It's only my second time voting. Okay. I used to have my head in the sand thinking my vote doesn't count. And it's like ignorance was bliss. Now I realize, oh, Eydie, that wasn't the right thing to do. You really do need to be a little bit in the mix, right? So I'm like the least qualified to talk about anything political. But in terms of like the video that you posted, Gary, showing like proving the lie, but people still refuse to believe the truth. I just look at everything through a biblical lens, and scripture tells us the world loves darkness. They hate the light. It's a broad path for a reason. The broad path leads to destruction. And there's a lot of people on the broad path headed for an eternity of hell, essentially. And what I can tell people is if a lot of people are doing something, and if a lot of people are on the same runaway train, it's a good indicator that they're on the broad path. Like, you don't want to go for the popular. Like, Jesus wasn't popular. People hated him for a reason. And he told us in scripture, don't be surprised when the world hates you. Keep in mind it hated me first. So the world is going to world. It's going to, it salivates over the wickedness and the darkness. So don't be misled by that just because something seems popular. Like I'm just reiterating what everybody has already said. It doesn't make it true. So
He
do
also
your
said,
own
he
research.
also said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the light." And
Yes.
and the first thing that the first words out of the devil's mouth were a question, right?
Mhm.
Are you sure God
Did
said
God
that?
really say? Mhm.
Did God really say?
To make you doubt.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
to
like,
make you
are you
doubt.
sure you don't want to? Are you sure you don't want to just ask some questions? And I see
Mhm.
that there is a lot of there's so many, references that you can make biblically to what's going on
Mhm.
in the world, not just now, but over time. In the 70s,
yeah.
in the 60s, and the 50s, and the
Mhm.
40s, it always comes back to that. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to
No,
say
no,
that
no. I love
I
that.
agree. I agree with you completely.
Exactly. Mhm.
The reason you said it, you're not political. You are political because you're biblical, right? So that's how you get to. How are you able to make that connection, right? Unless you're not biblical. If you're biblical, you are political. You just don't know the inner workings and details of the political environment and this or that. But you are political, and you should be, because biblical is political.
I like
Agreed.
this guy. I like what you're saying. Thank you so much. You
Um,
make me feel a lot better.
We'll hit up some super chats, and then I got another video I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Grace says, bring the revival back. Yeah, it was the revival that Charlie started, that Candace Owens and her ilk have done everything to suppress and try to tell you it's not the left. It is, the Jews. I mean, it doesn't get more satanic than that. Candace is trying to cultivate a societal shift that replaces the expectation demand for verifiable evidence with mass proclamations of we don't know, but we know. This is medieval peasant logic. I think that is
also biblical.
Yeah. Candace lesbian suit. She thrives on transgressiveness because it feeds her victim complex. She does. She loves to play victim. I mean, it is again leftist politics. Speak. Candace Owens twists everybody's words. Stay silent. She runs amok. Agreed with Zach. Rejection would destroy her.
Yeah, well, look at Megyn Kelly right now. Megyn Kelly's experiencing it, right? Because Megyn Kelly doesn't have the same, I guess you could call it, like, intent as Candace, but she does have the same, immorality, right? So Megyn Kelly tries to come out and tries to go like, actually, you know what? I am thinking that maybe, and tries to like sort of play both sides very softly, and she's getting destroyed. Her numbers are down. They're not boosting her anymore. Like I said, whoever they is, right? The people who are boosting people, they have stopped boosting Megyn Kelly. I have 37,000 followers. I'm getting more views than her on my show, and she's got 6 million. So there's something going on with the fake engagement.
Agreed. Incubus is a malevolent spirit or demon believed to visit people in their sleep to have demon force. Also refers to a literal nightmare or any overwhelming oppressive burden.
Tucker Carlson's side piece. I was lying down with my 4 dogs and I woke up with scratches. It was obviously a demon. Are you sure it wasn't your dogs?
Keep up the good work and knocking down the candy cult lies, folks. This is look. I know a lot of people think that you got to starve the grift. This is what attention that she wants, folks. If you want to do that, she's going to grow.
Yes,
right? She's going to grow. We have to attack it. We can't let these lies. And this should be a big point for the future. And this is what I'm trying to warn people of. It's not about Candace now and this whole op that's going on with her, Tucker Carlson. This is the beta test of this. It's going to get worse. And what we're going to have in the future, if the people behind all this, the countries behind all this, the political adversaries that are behind all this, they're all working together. And if we allow this to be successful, what they're going to do is they're going to bring on 2.0. And 2.0 is going to have somebody that is much more charismatic, that is much more believable. Like, we're getting into Antichrist territory. And I don't say that lightly. That's how you convince people of a bunch of lies. This is how it's done. And this is how we end up with a one world order, by the way, which is all biblical. Go read Revelation.
Well, look no further than AOC and then jump to Mamdani, right? The Democrats and the left, they did not call out their crazies. And they went from AOC, who now looks like a moderate, even though she's not, right? Now looks like a moderate in comparison to Mamdani. If you look, these extremists are like mushrooms, right? Like you cover them in crap and put them in the dark, they will grow. So you have to call them out. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. I think that you got to do it strategically. I think that Gary does a great job. I do a great job. Other people do a great job. Some people, they try to do it in a way where they validate them, right? And that's one of my biggest gripes is when they validate, this is how you validate Candace Owens. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you can't believe Candace Owens said that? Like, I can believe it, right? Like, I can believe it. I would say that the better way is to slightly mock, point out ridiculousness, and make your call out entertaining with facts, right? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this, because like, this is the reason why they steal terms like Christ is king. Okay. If you steal the term Christ is king as Candace Owens, and then somebody somebody comes out and goes, Ted Cruz, for instance, who's not good at this, right? He goes, yeah, Christ is king. They're using it as anti-Semitic. Then what they do is they go, oh, Ted Cruz thinks Christ is king is anti-Semitic, right? You have to be able to message properly. Otherwise, don't, right? If you aren't very skilled in the art of, debate or critical thinking, I would say that you probably should not engage, because you are validating them by giving them an opportunity to flip it back on you. Nick Fuentes is really good at this. He went on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan tried to own him. Nick Fuentes owned Piers Morgan because Piers Morgan tried the classic. I give a racist. It's like, no, that's not how you do it, right? Then Steven Crowder brings on Nick Fuentes and actually starts asking him good questions that sort of pin him into a corner. Like, yeah, so you agree with Lenin? What policies do you agree with him on? And then Nick Fuentes is like, yeah, and that's how you do it. So there is a way to do it, but if you're going to shine a light on it, shine the proper light on it, right? Because there is a way to screw this up.
Yeah.
You guys know my saying, evil does not stop itself.
Yes.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You have to get in there. You have to be in the fight. There's a reason why the Bible has so much description of armor and putting your armor on, going to war, going to battle, being a warrior over and over and over again, because it doesn't stop itself. You have to have people, and that's our job. That's literally our job as Christians, is to stand in the gap, like to fight evil. That's why we're called salt and light. The salt literally slows the decay and the rot of the meat. We are here to slow the sin. Literally, we stand in the gap as the church. That's why the Holy Spirit is indwelling within all of us. That's our job. So do your job.
And just standing by and like, you know what, I don't want to get involved. Like that's not an option. If you have a conscience, I don't care if you're even spiritual or religious. Like if you have a conscience, you have a duty to call out lies when you see them. And Candace is getting a lot more pushback, and it's being effective, folks. We are building a coalition of truth tellers, and they're fighting it out on 5th generational warfare right here on social media. And it is effective. It just takes a lot of people with courage. And the more that courage is contagious, and the more people are willing to stand up, it's going to be effective.
I've had people reach out to me and been like, I until I saw you doing XYZ, I always didn't want to speak out, but I started to. I actually had this person that I'm really good friends with, and I finally just, because I saw your post, it really is. So I had this speech at this summit where I was talking about like, how does it really matter if these people believe what they're saying, right? How do you combat some like enemy who doesn't believe what they're saying, but they're just trying to monetize it, right? And the truth is, you don't try to convince these people to put down their swords over morality. You pick up your sword, right? And you convince other people to fight them based on your morality, right? You fight them by inspiring others to use their voice, because your voice is a weapon. And if I don't do it, and Gary doesn't do it, and Eydie doesn't do it, and Lisa doesn't do it, nobody's ever going to do it. So it does take that.
Yep, agreed. I'm going to send Obscure Mod a video to send you of Charlie talking about protecting Erika from bullies, counter to Alex Jones' video. I did send Blake the videos of Charlie in high school. I sent. I'll look for those, man. Thank you. At least Nick is an incel. Candace is actually procreating.
Candace is a 3D printer for George Farmer's incessant need to convince the world that he's not gay.
Allegedly, they're his kids. My friends like Candace, and I always try to get them to understand Candace Owens is the WWE of investigative journalism. The stunts are real, but it's all scripted and fake. It's an entertainment show. I agree. Gary is not my father or my employer. Please see my CIA, FBI, Mossad handlers for questions on public information. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, apparently, because I had Sean on the other night, because I threw down a guest link for anybody to jump up here, and he came up here to talk about some things. And allegedly, he doxed somebody. I don't think what he did was doxing them. Is what I understand. I don't even know that. Allegedly, he pointed out that somebody was claiming to have an occupation that they didn't have. And he proved that this person was lying and trying to have credibility and expertise in something that they don't have either one in. That's not doxing, folks. Even, the other thing, I don't want to go off the tangent too far here because we got a lot to cover, but, even showing someone's real name, that's not doxing. Right?
No.
Your name is public record. Just because you want to be, some people are trying to be anonymous. And by the way, some people want to be anonymous because they got a bad history. And
well, I'm an expert in doxing and cancel culture because I've been doxed in so many times. I can explain to you what the actual definition of doxing is. It's publishing private or identifying information. And here's the tricky part. In the legal definition, it's with malicious intent. That's the part that makes it doxing, right? So if you were to publish somebody's identifying information, let's say by accident, or you weren't trying to do anything, nefarious, it's not necessarily doxing. But when people post my address, like they post my address all the time, they were posting it so much, I just started posting it myself. I was like, 111 Pro Band. I go, 111 Pro Band, look behind me, dude. Delete your browser history, right? And just come on. I'm done. I don't care. But there are people that if you mention their real name, like if you find them on Facebook and you go, oh, sorry, Jared, like, whatever, Smith, they'll be like, you just doxed me. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, that's not doxing. Right. So they obviously don't hold themselves to the same standards.
100%. I watched Candace Owens say there would be no Candace without Charlie, only truth she's ever uttered. Dropping in to say hi to Gary. I just posted a video on X yesterday about Candace becoming one of our top cult figures in history. We keep fighting, Gary. Yes, I agree with all of that. Just like Obama and Fauci, Candace gave me vibes of total dishonesty and even evil for the first time I saw any of them. Trust your gut. Thanks for all you do. Desperate, demoralized, godless, wicked Candace.
Oh, yeah.
Candace Owens was a negative force in Charlie Kirk's life based on their texts, all being trash-talking people, complaining, even their bonding over Kanye power. Banger, but it's about excess hubris. Erika brought him light.
Yeah, I think she was actually trying to like manipulate Charlie, and I think that it just didn't work. And also at the same time, she was trying to use Charlie as cover. I think the reason why so many people didn't see Candace for who she truly was because she was standing next to Charlie, and we saw him for who he truly is. So we just sort of associated her with good. And then once they separated, I want to say subliminally, she knew, she's like, oh, people are going to know now, so I might as well go all in and just become the thing that I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Fishback go ahead.
Sorry, last night I actually decided to watch back through one of the last sit-down interviews that Candace had with George. It was like a year ago. It's when she's wearing that like white silky blouse, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, she actually references in that interview, I think, the moment that her and Charlie's relationship started to break down. He did not support her marrying George. She literally said, there were people in my professional life, Charles Kirk, and she points at the camera and she says, he thought that I was absolutely crazy. And he was saying, you don't know this person. You cannot marry this person. This is crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I think that was the moment, the fact that he did not support their relationship because they didn't know each other. And then you look at how he handled Erika, completely opposite. Okay. They met in 2018. They didn't get married in 2021. So that's multiple years of dating, getting to know each other. He literally said, you have to travel. He said, travel with someone. That is the number one way you're going to know if you guys can be around each other and be under stress and all of that, and like how they can handle it. He threw Erika into his lifestyle to make sure that she could handle that lifestyle, all of those things. And so, yeah, I think that him not supporting their marriage was a huge break for that whole relationship. And she does not like being told what to do, obviously, very much has an authority issue. And so I think that was where I think that's where it all kind of broke down.
Agreed. Yep. Let me get this super chat. I want to throw up another video. Fishback is problematic, but no one has asked Byron Donalds how he can be tough on immigration and co-signer of the mass amnesty.
This is straw man. I look, I think that a lot of people have a problem with Byron Donalds, but I also say this all the time. If you want to get rid of a person, replace them, find a better candidate, do it in the primaries, and pick the person that's got the most alignment with your values. This is just the dumbest argument is to say I don't love Byron Donalds. Fishback is a problem, but yeah, I get it. If you're not super duper awesome, all in on Byron Donalds, it's irrelevant to James Fishback.
Sure.
Stupid people who, please God, capital G God, I swear to you, my audience, I am not using my Lord and.
I just wanted to play you guys this video real quick. There's a couple key points here because we're getting into the Mamdani and Hassan Piker as well. And this was a great clip from Dan Bongino. We'll talk about this.
Savior Jesus Christ's name in vain. Please, God, wake these people up. Please, God, I'm begging you, pray for their souls. The stupid people who have fallen prey to this stuff. There is nothing democratic about democratic socialism. It is simply the taking of your property, your political freedom, your economic freedom, your education freedom, your healthcare freedom. This is not complicated. The evidence is present throughout human history. Put up that Wall Street Journal piece about the horrors of Mao Zedong. You saw that scumbag Hassan Piker. Oh, Mao Zedong, he isn't that bad of a guy. Mao Zedong, really? We're going to read this.
Folks, this is what the left does to all these people. And that is, they turn all of these people into heroes, whether we're talking about Mao, Stalin, Che Guevara. Like, these people are horrific. Some of the most horrific, homicidal, insane people on the face of the planet. And they all push socialism and communism. And what actually takes place once they're in power is always horrific.
Get ready. Put your food down, because this is some gross shit. You like Mao Zedong? Daniel Ortega canceling elections? I thought he was a democratic socialist. Scumbag Bernie Sanders, who's a millionaire flying private jets himself. Scumbag Mamdani. Oh, we're going to arrest anyone else on ICC warrants too. Yeah, here's who Mao Zedong is. Read this. Read all of it. 45 million dead, Freeman notes in the Wall Street Journal, under Mao Zedong and the commies. According to Frank Dicketer, who described the results of his research into previously classified archives of local and national offices of the CCP. By the way, he wrote this in the New York Times. Freeman's quoting it. Between 2 and 3 million of Mao's victims in China were tortured to death or summarily executed for the slightest infraction. People accused of not working hard enough were hung and beaten. Sometimes they were bound and thrown into ponds. Punishments for the least violations, including mutilation and forcing people to eat excrement. Hassan Piker, dickhead.
Yeah, these are the people that end up falling for it. The people that are end up being killed. And by the way, the parallels with Islam, it's the exact same thing. Folks, they sit there and they use class, religion, whatever it is. And they're like, you know what? These are the evil people. If you just put us in power, we're going to be so much better. Folks, it is proven time and time again that capitalism is by far the best system. And by the way, all the socialism that we have in the United States today only works because of our capitalist society. We pay for all that. If suddenly we're not capitalist anymore, production would go way down. We wouldn't be able to afford, and we can't now, even with how powerful capitalism is in creating wealth and generating wealth. We're still at what are we, 37 trillion dollars in debt? It always goes bad.
You have to put an emphasis on free market when you're talking about capitalism, because the market is very manipulated also right now. And this is why China, communist China, has tried to manipulate our free market capitalist ideas to take advantage, which is why Donald Trump is coming after them so hard. But if you look at how Hassan Piker is elevating Mao Zedong, you also look at how Tucker Carlson is elevating Putin.
Yeah.
Right? And Putin's sending out 7,000 of his people to die in a war over politics and whatever. He's not a good guy.
There's 1.4 million casualties, Russian casualties.
Exactly. There's 1.4 million Russian casualties. Anybody that tells you that there's a genocide in Gaza, it's like, dude, listen, the Ukraine war with Russia is ridiculous. And it's never covered how many people are dying in it. But what they do is they minimize and try to sort of normalize the leadership of non-capitalist or capitalist adjacent leaders who are more authoritarian, so that they can try to sell this idea that the system that we are under, which if ran properly, if it was an actual free market capitalist society and not taken advantage of, would be the best society. It still even is the best society, even though it's manipulated and flawed. So just pay attention to that, because I don't see any difference between Hassan Piker and Tucker Carlson. I don't see any difference between the woke right and the woke left, because you have people like Nick Fuentes who are praising Lenin and Stalin, and you have Hassan Piker who's praising Mao.
Yeah, agreed.
Scumbag. You want to answer for that, you piece of shit? Mamdani? Bernie? Justin's right. He said a little excess. Is this an excess too? One report dated November 30th, 1960, and circulated at top leadership, most likely including Mao, tells how a man named Wing Zhao had one of his ears chopped off, his legs tied up with iron wire, and a 10-kilogram stone dropped on his back before he was branded with a sizzling tool. His crime? Digging up a potato. Oh, it gets worse. When a boy stole a handful of grain in a Hunan village, the local boss forced his father to bury his son alive on the spot. This freaking democratic socialism sounds awesome if you're a dickhead.
Yeah, and I play this for this intent. Number one, folks, like, yeah, we've been focused on the woke right, and they are a real problem, but we can't lose focus on what is happening on the Democrats either. Like, there is no difference between the CCP and the DNC. There really isn't. Not at the highest level. Most of the people, like, they're average Americans. They've been told wrong things. We had a great discussion with Dom Luker last night. You know, the Black Americans have been duped into voting for Democrats. They don't even really know what the policies are. It's just like, we also had a great discussion about the same thing with Natalie Beisner, how she was a Democrat. And she just thought, you know what? I just thought that, like, these are the people that are compassionate and Republicans aren't. And it's just not true. It's just not true. Eydie, what do you think about that?
Well, there's nothing new under the sun. So this is symptomatic of the larger issue that we've just, as a society overall, the human population has gotten so far from God. And what people have to understand is that there is God, the one true God of the Bible, and then there's paganism. Everything else is paganism. This, what this Dan Bongino fellow just read, that's it. It just mirrors scripture. All of this has already happened. It continues to happen because people continue to turn away from the living God, and that is where that is where you end up. So America keeps drifting further and further away from God. Well, we'll just separate church and state. It doesn't really have to do. We don't need to involve God in everything. You know, we don't want to be beating people with our Bibles, but that's how you end up in an awful situation that this gentleman just read to us.
Agreed. Lisa?
And there's a reason why the communists always take out religion, specifically Christianity, first. It's the first thing that they come in and they target. They strip the churches, they arrest the priest, they get rid of all the Bibles, they control all the narrative and remove all religion immediately.
Yeah, agreed. Think Candace Owens looks at her followers and thinks, wow, these idiots are still paying me for this nonsense. It is interesting to watch. Very good podcast tonight. Makes my heart happy. Love strong brothers and sisters in Christ. Thank you very much. Jesus was extremely popular. He had enormous following. That is why he had to be crucified. I don't understand why people say he was not popular or only had 12 followers. This is wrong. Grace, I don't think that's necessarily true. You know what? That's something worth actually looking. He had a decent sized following, but even in the end, his own disciples turned against him. So I don't know what I don't know if anyone has ever determined what type of following he had while he was alive. I think his popularity was growing, and that's why the Romans, that's why the Pharisees and Sadducees had to end up putting him out. You know, that's why they had to take him out. But you know, I think his movement was pretty small while he was alive. I'm open to being wrong. That's not an area that I've actually explored a whole lot of. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that, like, he influenced enough people where it mattered, but when people try to use the blood libel of, the Jews killed Jesus, right? It's like, well, why, right? Like, if that were true, which it's not, right? The Romans killed Jesus, but let's say the Jews killed Jesus. Why did the Jews kill Jesus? Because, well, the Jews supported Jesus, right? It's like these Jews apparently, right, sold him out to the Romans because those Jews believed what he was saying. So the Jews are actually responsible for Jesus, as well as a small sect of, the Pharisees and you know, the followers or the disciples who were all Jews didn't necessarily turn on Jesus. One of them did, you know, Judas, obviously.
Well, even Peter.
Oh,
Even Peter
yeah,
denied
Judas
him.
and Peter. But you know, there was many of them were crucified after,
Yeah,
and
Yes.
they never denied him, and they endured painful, torturous death without rejecting him.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, like the Christianity is Christian is obviously mentioned in Acts, but like the Catholic Church, the actual church system of calling it that wasn't really established until 300 years after his death. So the first real Christians were Messianic Jews. So the following that he had was just a threat to the Roman Empire because he was convincing people. Like we get hyper fixated on Jews, but he was convincing people to believe in something other than
He was
the
the king of the Jews.
authoritarian rule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, look-
also, I'm sorry, just to interject,
no,
Jesus
no,
still
please.
isn't. He still isn't popular. Like we're not popular as Christians. So he did have a following. Yes, of course, he had a following. He was making an impact because it was God incarnate. Absolutely, but he's still not popular to this day, and that's why he warns us in Scripture. Like, don't be surprised. They're not going to like you. They didn't like me. Like they hate me. They will hate you on account of me. Just count yourself blessed to be hated on account of me.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the Jews that were involved in his death, I mean, that was just part of prophecy. I mean, they fulfilled prophecy. And what
Yeah,
I
he
love
laid
to
down
hear,
his life.
I love when people say, like Ian Carroll and many of these other people, they're like, the Jews killed Jesus. But at the same, out of the other side of their mouth, they'll say, the Jews in the Bible are not the same Jews there. So they're not the Jews that killed Jesus. Always fun.
I
Go
argue
ahead.
this on TikTok a lot. I do a lot of lives about the Christian perspective on how Christians are called, according to Scripture, to support Israel. Actually,
Yeah.
the number one entity that wants nothing more than to destroy Israel, to rip the Jews out of that land, to divide that land, is literally Satan himself.
Yeah.
That has been his mission from day one. He did not want the Messiah to come, and he does not want the Messiah to come again. And where is Jesus going to put his feet? On the Mount of Olives. He is going to split that mountain in half. He is going to march through that eastern gate, and he is going to destroy the nations that are coming against Israel. And so he's not coming back to Minnesota, guys. He's coming back to Israel, Jerusalem.
Well, I mean, if you look at a
And
biblical map, America really isn't even in it,
No,
right?
exactly. And so all these people that are like, oh, the land doesn't matter, the Jews don't matter.
It does.
He is coming back to put his feet on the Mount of Olives. That is, where do you think he's coming back to? But
It's
Acts
figurative,
4:20
Lisa.
Yeah, Acts 4:27 tells us who killed Jesus. Okay, it says that Herod, Pilate, and the people all plotted together to kill him. So that is Jew, that is Roman, and that is the civilization of the people that were there. They all plotted to kill him together.
And he forgave
But
all of them.
he did.
And if he could do it, why
but
can't you?
if the Romans were not involved in that process, yes, the Jews were involved in that process, but if the Romans were not involved in that process, we as Gentiles, guys, we wouldn't have access to salvation. It's because the Romans were involved in killing Christ that we actually have access to salvation today as Gentiles. That's how salvation came to us, actually, because when you make a covenant, that blood covenant is through the parties that are involved, right? Okay, so you have the Jews first, who salvation came to first. Then you have the Gentiles, which were the Romans. They were pagans, right? And so it's through them being involved. And so I always remind people when they bring up, oh, the Jews killed Jesus. I'm like, actually, the Romans were involved in that process, and thank God that they were, else we would all be screwed as Gentiles. Like, so yeah, it's all important. And at the main core of the gospel, anybody who's read the Bible, the main core of the gospel is that if you really want to get down to brass tacks, all of us put him on that cross because our sin is what put him up there to begin with. And so every single one of us, me, you, every single one of us, we put him there. So it drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah. Apparently we're having an issue with Zach. I'm sure he'll jump back on here. Jen, if you will, send him a text to make sure he jumps back on in the
And also, just I'm so sorry, real quick, because it bothers me a lot when people say that, well, they killed. Listen, Jesus laid down his life. He willingly laid it down. Nobody took it from him. It was all a fulfillment of prophecy, and he knew what was in store for him. Like, so we all need to be biblically literate when it comes down to it. Biblical. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it is, folks, it's satanic to hate
Mhm.
Jews. I mean, it just is. Those are God's chosen people. You can sit here and play around with it or whatever else.
Yes.
Satan hated the Jews, going all the way back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yes.
They are the reasons that covenant led to the birth, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And there is something very satanic about what happens when it comes to this anti-Semitism stuff. And clearly we're having some issues here. Zach has showing us some paper towels. I don't know what's going on there.
Okay.
We'll keep going. Lisa's back.
Sorry. Yeah, it cut out and I couldn't hear Gary anymore. So
Every now and then we have that issue. Did Candace lost another lawyer on the Macron case? Do you know if that's true?
She
Yeah,
did
I
lose
think-
another lawyer. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to wait right up until, I plan on covering the Macron.
Am I back?
Can you hear us?
All right, hold on. Audio. I can't
She
even hear
actually
anything. Hold
lost
on.
her lawyer the
There we
same day that she
go.
finally got served for the Harple case. It happened on the same day. I said, damn, she's having a bad day.
There
Yep.
we go. All
Can
right.
you hear us, Zach?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened.
No, it's sometimes we have that happen. We had that happen a couple times going back like 2 months ago. And ever since then, every time we get some people on, we're like, hey, if you lose audio, just log out, log back in, and it's usually good to go. And this is the one time since then. I was like, it's not happening anymore. Because I just got fiber internet. I thought that was probably the issue. Clearly it wasn't.
I've been having issues too. It's funny because this morning on Rumble, I think it's because Graham Allen's on vacation, but my show was featured. So
Yeah.
I have like, over 7,000 people in it. And then all of a sudden my computer just shuts off, and I was able to reboot and get back on within like a minute, but I'm like, of all the days. So I did it.
That's how it works. When my daughter was killed, I spent 2 days at her wake, hugging and kissing her body. I hope you never have to go through that. It's a small club you don't want to be in, and we don't need to be judged by you. That is another thing. Like for people that don't know, I just recently lost my father.
Sorry, man.
And grief is a funny thing, right? There were times where people were laughing at his funeral. There were times when people were crying at his funeral. There's times I sit around and I think, happy thoughts. And then sometimes just, there's moments of grief. But I still interact with people on a daily basis. And for the insincere, disgusting way that people have weaponized any reaction that Erika has, she either's crying too much, she's not crying enough. Really what that is they don't want to see her at all. That they're trying to keep her out of, create these issues that don't exist, so that the people that hated Charlie, the people that hate TPUSA, and the people that hate Erika Kirk now, that's what it is, right? It's a way to suppress her from even getting out in public. And I hope she doesn't listen to it, because she's never done anything inappropriate or wrong.
Mm.
And them saying that people don't like touch the body, like there are people that is their
Oh my
response.
gosh.
There's other
Yeah.
people that totally creeps them out, and they would never do that, and that's totally fine.
No,
I
I
would
did it
say
with my
like
dad.
whatever you feel called to do at that time is what you do. Like, but them saying that she filmed him and like that was weird. She told us exactly why she did that, guys. Like, if you go back and listen to, like, Erika has literally described exactly why she has done like a lot of the things that she has done. If you would just listen to her when she talks, she said, just as Jackie O literally said, I want you to see what you have done to my husband. That's why she was still wearing the bloody suit. Remember when they swore in LBJ?
Yeah.
Erika said the same thing. She's like, I filmed this and I put it out because I wanted people to see what they did to my husband. Like, I was and people are like, oh, she wanted attention. Yeah, she wanted a very certain type of attention. She was literally saying, like, look at what you've done. I want you to see what you have done. She was making a statement. You are correct. A strong statement. But like, it comes back to the fact that people don't listen to what she's actually said. They just hear some flippant rumor and then they run with it. Right. It drives me insane.
I was watching, listening to a space the other night with Andrew Wilson talking to one of these idiots, and he's like, well, what about that video of her standing on his casket? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, that video of her standing on his
AI
casket.
garbage.
And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm looking for it, doesn't exist. He's like, no, it's real. He's like, you sure it's not AI or something? And he's like, no, it's real. I saw it. She posted it on her Instagram. He looked at that. Like after like 5, 7, 10 minutes, come to find out it was complete AI garbage. She did not post it on her Instagram. And these are the stupid things by stupid people and some insidious, nefarious people that they put this stuff out, and retards believe it. And it's like, no, like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're not retarded anymore. Like I'm just tired of playing around and like participating in your mental illness. And that being said, for everybody listening, if I'm on a space with you or I'm talking to you one-on-one, I will treat you with respect and I won't call you retarded. But the whole time that you're talking, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you're retarded because all I think about is the dumb things that you're saying. And time after time, these are like things proven wrong. People are still posting, oh, this, you know, Tyler Robinson doesn't look like this guy at all. Side by side to the AI generated version of Tyler Robinson. Yeah, it doesn't look like him because it's not him, moron. And by the way, we have Lance Twigg saying, yes, that looks definitely looks like Tyler Robinson in the bottom two pictures. Definitely looks like that. But they want to sit there, and so many of these people, because there's if you guys watch the preliminary hearing, there is a video testimony of Lance Twigg. And Lance Twiggs is sitting there looking at some of these pictures on the screen. And he's like, yeah, it looks like him, but I can't definitely say. And they're scrolling down and they get to the bottom last two pictures. And he says, those two definitely go look that word up. Definitely look like Tyler Robinson. All right. Definitely. So, but they cut that part out. And that's the thing with all of these people. Like they're disingenuous and they're dishonest. And just like we saw that with Fishback, and the reaction to that is, yeah, I'm not going to admit he lied. I'm going to say, oh, you didn't tag him because you'd be ratioed. If I'm ratioed by James Fishback, does that make it not a lie, you moron? And like at this point, you guys are so disingenuous. You're creating and just fabricating evidence. You're just faking narratives. And then you play dumb. Like, look, like I had this argument with a lady on Space the other night, and then I've reposted it. She's like, tell me how he got off the roof with it. And I showed her a bunch of pictures, posted the pictures of what is clearly something long and rigid. And she's like, that looks like a backpack.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, girl.
That looks like a backpack. What kind of, she's like, and then I'm like, well, can we just concede that it's possibly the rifle? Nope, there's no possibility that's the rifle. Like, where do we go with? And then she finally, after a bunch of people were like, are you being serious right now? Like, you can't say that that's possibly a rifle. And she finally concedes to that. And then the next day she's in my comments saying, you know, no, like I don't think it's possibly a rifle. I don't even remember what she said. I ended up posting the entire interaction and like, no, you're just lying. Oh, that's what it was. She said, I never said that. I never said it wasn't possibly. Like, hold on. Luckily we recorded this. Like, you people are either your memory sucks so bad, your observation skills suck so bad, your common sense sucks so bad, or you're just such liars that you're not worth listening to, most of you. And I'm just being honest with you. And again, later on, once you come to, like, you can come thank me, because I'm just being real with you. This is things that Candace Owens and other people won't say because it doesn't get me clicks. You're not sending me super chats right now unless you're just wanting to curse me out. I don't care. This is not about popularity.
Well, that's like, I mean, I kind of disagree with you about if you're talking to them in person. Like, I think you should actually just call them retarded. This is what I did with Owen. With Owen Wilson. I'm debating. Owen Wilson. He looks like Owen Wilson.
Like what?
Owen Schroyer. Owen Schroyer. I'm debating him about, you know, Trump's like foreign intervention and whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, well, you know, like Qatar's one of our greatest allies. Israel's not. And I'm like, are you retarded? And he got all mad about it. And he's like, oh, so you're just going to call me retarded? I go, when you say retarded stuff, yeah, like, right. But I'm like, he's like, well, why do we have a military base in Qatar? And I'm like, we have one in Turkey. We have one in Cuba. I was like, what are you talking about? So when you try to, this is what I was talking about earlier about validating, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't debunk them and make your points. I'm not saying that that's what you did, but when you are in these conversations with them, you should kind of mock them and make fun of how ridiculous their statement is, as opposed to validating it as these are two people having a conversation, right? Like, because you don't need to debunk it. Yes, exactly. That's the rifle.
Clearly a backpack.
Yeah.
That's a backpack. A backpack for what? An umbrella? Or maybe it's a rifle under a black towel that just so happened to be the exact black towel that we saw in the evidence. You know, these people are nuts. I know exactly what you're saying, Zach. I don't disagree with you. I go through. You know, it depends on the situation.
It's a hard thing to sort of balance, because you really do have to be like, okay, when do I treat these people with the third party, right? The third party, like Dan Bongino says, it's like you're not arguing with them, you're not trying to convince them, you're trying to convince somebody who's watching.
Yeah.
And then so you do have to debunk it. And
Sure.
so I wasn't saying that you weren't doing that, but when
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I do. And by the way, I was like, this is why
I know
call you people retard. I ended up telling her, like, this is why I call you people retard. But I went into that with good faith. Like, okay, you're confused about some things. Let's work through this, sweetheart. And then like we get to it, like, no, it can't. That's a backpack. There's no way that it's like, okay, sorry, but you're retarded. You're retarded. And I immediately dropped her. But it depends.
Well,
right?
Andrew Tate's the newest thing. It's like there's people that just say it's all made up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if it's not?
Yeah, when did they start defending Andrew Tate? Oh, speaking of,
Yeah.
did you guys see? I don't know if any of you have followed Lila Rose, but she actually did an interview with one of the attorneys that is defending one of Andrew Tate's victims, who he started allegedly trafficking her as like a webcam girl as a minor.
Yeah,
She's now an
15.
adult. She's now an adult, but when it started, I think she was like 14, 15 years old.
Yep.
And so you guys should all go listen to that interview, because it really dives into what all the charges really are.
Was it
and
a
how-
female attorney?
Yes.
I've interviewed her.
Yeah. And then she also talks about the interview that Candace Owens did with him, where she literally did no challenging, no pushback. She didn't bring any of the Romanian documentation with the actual charges listed on it. She just tried to, fling them away like they were nothing and make it out like they were no big deal. But yeah, so they really dive into like, no, these are very serious charges, and they go through what all of them are and what they entail and what the victims are saying, because the reason that more charges were added is because more people are starting to speak up, by the way, about what was done to them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Well,
her
he's-
first interview with Tracey, I wasn't up to speed on the Tates. I knew enough to know that they were deplorable humans and traffickers, but I didn't know the ins and outs, and I knew that Candace had interviewed him. So I went to make a little compilation of Candy Kane the other day after Andrew was arrested, and I watched the first interview that she did when she was at the Daily Wire, which I'm surprised they even allowed her, just looking back. And the way she's like, I've read the indictment, and sex trafficking is listed, but it's not what we in America know as sex trafficking. Yes, you coerced women into coming over here, and then just the way that she was minimizing
the lover
actual
boy thing.
crimes
Yeah.
blew my mind when she has a daughter, especially when she has a daughter. Like, but also you're a woman. What are you doing? I was bewildered.
Yeah.
Well, I'm being sued by Tate, but I don't think that I don't think that's gonna. I think that might delay our little. I think we just filed a motion
You're
to
being
dismiss.
sued?
Oh yeah, I'm being sued by Andrew Tate because I called him
I
out.
think he's a little tied up right now.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. My lawyer was like, that could delay things. I go, I don't care.
Well, Nathan Livingstone over at Milk Bar TV, he's being sued. By
Well,
them.
he sued me and about 15 other people.
Yeah.
Nathan's one of them, and they all got together and crowdfunded. But not to brag, but I know people, so I just had I had a friend of a friend reach out and said, we'll take it on pro bono. So I'm separate from that, but bottom line is it's a slap suit, and Andrew Tate's on camera saying he does this. He's like, I'll sue you just to sue you. He's suing. I live in Texas. He's suing me out of Florida. Like, there's no jurisdiction. So he's suing all these people. He's suing somebody named John Doe in Australia out of Florida. It doesn't make any sense.
But
He's a
also, if
lunatic.
he ends up being charged and sentenced for these things, how can you then say defamation when he's actually gonna be charged and then sentenced and serving time for those actual things that you guys said? That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
How
there's a
can that
reason
even
why I said
continue?
it.
Yeah, like how can that even continue? That's insane.
Well, you know, the reason that Andrew Tate exists, unfortunately, because, you know, like Andrew Tate and a lot like Nick Fuentes, is these people say some things that are true. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons that Andrew Tate has become popular is because there is a need for masculinity.
Yeah.
And my God, there's so much better people
Oh, my
to
word,
present
yeah.
that.
Well,
and that's
But
the
he's
problem.
not
Is like we
masculine.
have all this corruption. You have somebody that's promoting something good, right? But he's also a corrupt turd bag for sure. And also an abuser of people, a user of people. Like this is what Satan does, right? They present good things, just like he presented, you know, it's like, oh, in the Garden of Eden, don't you want to know the truth or whatever it was with that he presented to?
Did he really say that? Yeah.
Nah, so something along those lines. But the point is like, yeah, there is a need for this in society. There's a need for masculinity in society because we now have a bunch of dudes that walk around that are feminized. We have a bunch of women that are masculinized. I don't know if that's a word, but
Yes, it is.
masculized.
Let's go with it.
You know, and that's what's going on. It's like people like there's a call for that, but it's just he exploited that.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately exploited a lot of women and pushed a lot of immoral things with it as well.
Well,
Well,
if you
and
think
people
of,
want to know why all of these white, you know, Western women are being drawn to Islam. And they're saying, they're telling you it's because they come off more manly. They come off more as men. They have the cultural, traditional home that they want to have. And, you know, they want a family. They want to have children. Now, they're obviously being given a false idea of what Islam is because they're allowed to lie to non-Muslims if it means that they can further Islam, right? But this is why you're seeing so many in the West be drawn into Islam, because at the end of the day, God built us as women with this natural instinct that we want to be protected. We want to be taken care of. We want that masculine figure in our life. We're drawn to that for a reason. And so now women, instead of seeking it, you know, again, America has, like you said, feminized so much of our men. We've made masculinity this bad, toxic thing. And so now, yeah, you're seeing them be drawn to a religion that strongly supports this masculine character. Now, it's a very abusive masculine character. And that's going to come back to bite them in the long run. But I think that that's why you're seeing such a draw to Islam.
yeah. Well, I mean, you see the woman that was just beaten to death by her her Muslim like fiance or boyfriend in was it Ireland or the UK, and he tried to flee because that, like, you're right, and Gary's right. What Andrew Tate and even Nick Fuentes are doing, they're predators that are using the same model that Andrew Tate used to trick women into working for him to young boys, right? It's like you've been demonized. You're white young men. You should go out and work out and make money and this, that, and you know, there's just been so much against you. And then he says to women, he's like, you know, all these guys that don't appreciate you and don't take care of you and they don't provide for you, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very clever way to fill a vacuum in a very nefarious way. So there is a vacuum that these people are filling, but if we don't fill it with true masculinity, Gary, me, others, with, you know,
Lisa,
God fear, Lisa. Well, I'm saying if the men don't fill the vacuum of the God-fearing masculine men of the Bible, then the devil will fill it with people like Andrew Tate.
Well, yeah, and again, what he does is straight up cult tactics as well. Like he's using cult tactics and terminology and identifying people and exploiting him the same way. And I do think the other thing too is we as a society, we have to start teaching our daughters what to look for in men too. And you know, a good example of this actually happened today. Like if my 16-year-old and my 12-year-old don't rush in front of a door and open it for women that are walking in, or their mother, for instance, or me, don't forget me. But if they don't do that, like, they get in trouble. And you know, my son just now, he just rushed. There was a lady walking in, and he rushed up there, opened the door, and she was like, wow, thank you so much. They're so used to just getting doors slammed in their face, and they're not used to that today in our society, unfortunately. And we live in West Virginia, and I still see it all the time. Dudes will just walk in, freaking a woman is like 2 steps behind them, and they don't even care. They don't even care. It's
You see a
unbelievable.
pregnant woman on a subway and a little kid sitting in a chair, not getting up, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Goose says, here's a little something. Since you and others on this side don't actually get paid or boosted, bought by people, parties, or countries, Israel, like others actually do, keep up the great work. Thank you, Goose. Yeah, I'm not paid. Let me tell you something. I am 100%, just to make this clear, I am 100% on Team TPUSA, because after I looked at everything, I know that they're telling the truth, and I can't stand to see what's happening. I am not paid by them. I'm not influenced by them. No one's asking me to say anything. No one's telling me to say anything. I don't need them to do that. They're on the side of truth. That's all I need. And no one's paying me for anything.
Amen.
And I far be it for me to assume, but I'm assuming it's the rest of you as well.
Oh yeah, I actually I'm starting to wonder why I'm not paid. But no, but I mean, like Candace Owens, Ian Carroll, and everything, they charge a subscription, they get paid. What do they do with that money? That's what I'm curious about. Right? They are getting paid. Are they creating nonprofits? Are they getting out the vote? Are they helping the homeless? What are they doing with their money?
Paying writers to write more fiction, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Certain
Charlie
people are
fired.
allowed to get paid in this equation, don't you know?
That's true. That's true. Charlie fired Candace, and he fired George from TP Britain. George wanted to buy it after working as president of Britain's chapter for 3 months. Yeah, you know, they want to question everybody else's motives, and again, it's just projection. It's just projection. Bible does say exactly what Jesus' following was. I'll have to look that up. I could be wrong.
I'll find it.
What the Dragon Prophecy on Angel Studios, very informative on Israel and Palestine.
Great documentary. I interviewed Dinesh. Great documentary.
I'll have to check that out. I wanted to get in the coffin with my little girl. If that freaks you out, I don't care.
Oh,
That's what I have been saying since the beginning. I would have been in the coffin. Like, you guys are up in arms because Erika was by the I would have been in the coffin. What are you talking about? She loved him beyond
people act
reason.
weird. Like I heard you guys talk about earlier, and I don't want to take up too much time. I know I talk a lot, but my dad died. My brother died 8 weeks after. My mom died a few years later. I've lost 75% of my family, and I'm a very public figure, and I have a lot of haters. And each time one of them died, all of them, I've gotten the same, similar, definitely not to the scale, but I've gotten the similar types of attacks that Erika Kirk has got. People send me AI pictures of my mom. One of them, it's weird, but one of them like put her in a pornographic, put her face over pornographic stuff.
That is disgusting.
They've shown me pictures of her like looking like a demon. My brother, same thing. My dad, same thing. Right. And it's like Charlie Kirk had the best tweet about it. You can tell a lot about a person by how they react when somebody dies. Right. And it's like, I mean, when my dad died, I was telling jokes at the wake because that's how I was processing. Right. Like everybody kept coming up to me going, I'm so sorry. I go, why? What happened? Like, and I just wanted to make people smile. So there is, everybody, deals with grief differently. And I wouldn't want the people that are attacking Erika Kirk to find out why they're wrong. Right. Because it means they're going to have to experience that. So.
Yeah, but you know what? The problem is they've dehumanized her such a level that what happens to them and how they feel, they have no empathy for this thing that is Erika Kirk, and they don't care. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. The way that they have, and by the way, that side period, I've talked about this before. Like, I've been talking about politics for a long time, and I've been, verbally harassed and other things by Antifa and everything else. I've never seen the level of vitriol and the amount of effort that they put into trying to, smear me. They've doxed me. I've gotten death threats. someone came to my house right after I doxed me and damaged portions of my property. Never seen anything like it. Like, what they're doing is so evil, so disgusting, and they have reached a certain percentage of the population that is motivated by some of the worst portions of our human being. Like, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I've had probably equal or more vitriol from the woke right than the woke left, and I've dealt with both.
Yep. Steve Vacanti gifted 10 Paramount Tactical memberships. Thank you, buddy. And Savvy, I'm not going to lie, it gets exhausting arguing with people, especially when they ignore facts. But then I remind myself, telling the truth is our duty. Yeah, and I will tell you this, whether it's actual candy cult folks down in the comments, or I think a lot of times it's bots, when you find yourself kind of arguing in a circle, like, disengage, because they're trying to eat up your time. They're trying to eat up your energy. Find something else. Just block them. A lot of these people, that's all they deserve. Just block them. Block them and move on. And I don't care if people say, well, you're not supposed to block people. Like, I don't care. Like, if I find you annoying, you're getting blocked. And
Who's making these rules up?
I don't want to sleep over it.
I have a personal goal that I try to block a candy member at least one a day. Usually I do a couple a day, but I have a goal to at least block one of those MFers a day.
But Candace blocks everybody, so I don't understand what that argument
I
is.
got to join that party recently. I got blocked by Candace Owens the other day, guys. Woo-hoo, it finally happened.
Yeah. Well, listen, folks, thank you all for tuning in. I don't know. Let's go around the room real quick. Give us some positive, encouraging things for the viewers. Eydie.
Okay. So to touch on a point from earlier about showing courage and being brave and actually speaking the truth, even when the mob is after you. Let me just remind you of my favorite prophet, Elijah. Okay. He ran. He was so depressed and distraught, and he tried to run away. And the Lord said, what are you doing? He's like, God, they've killed everyone. They've killed all your prophets, and now they're trying to kill me, and you want me to go back? And the Lord said, I need you to eat something, take a nap, and you're going back to oppose all of the prophets of Baal. It was Elijah versus all of the prophets of Baal. And they still, he was like, call on your gods, kind of mocking them, right? Call on your gods. Maybe they're indisposed. Maybe they're on vacation. Like, what? Call on them. And the prophets of Baal, even though it was evident there was only one God, like there's only one, right? Your gods are dead. They're nothing. They still were refusing to listen. They were cutting themselves. They were like shedding blood to try. So, but it didn't matter because Elijah knew the truth and he demonstrated the truth and God showed up. So don't be afraid, even if there are hundreds of people against you, even if you feel like they're not going to listen. It's not your job to convince them to listen. It's just your job to speak the truth and expose darkness and have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. So if ever you feel like I'm not going to make a difference, just remember Elijah and remember that God's got your back and you don't have anything to fear if you're standing on truth.
Yeah, good advice. Zach.
Yeah, some positive, just prediction. The fact that this conversation is even happening leads me to believe that we're going to be all right, because what I do is I look at the mistakes of, let's say, the left, the Democrats, and how they didn't really have any pushback to this type of woke radicalism, Marxist, ideology that sort of festered in their party and grew. And I think that what we're seeing now is we're seeing that party fall apart. And it only took probably, 10 years or so. And if you go back, let's say 10 years, if you go back to 2016, you wouldn't see a podcast where there were 4 people on the left who were very well known in the liberal space, online space, calling out people like AOC, calling out people that were more radical in their party. And they let it grow, and we aren't. So I would say that that's what you need to focus on. Focus on the people that are actually pushing back, because one voice like mine, Gary's, Eydie's, Lisa's, can inspire hundreds or thousands of people to raise theirs. And that's really the message that we're trying to push. It doesn't really take an army. It takes just one. So they can ratio you with foreign bots and everything like that. Just keep your head in the game and realize that you're way more powerful than you think, and just speak up.
Agreed. Lisa.
Yeah, and Elijah, he said, "Don't you want to kill the Jews?" He really did. He said, they've destroyed your altars, Lord. They've gone after your prophets. They've tried to kill me. Am I the only good Jew left, right? He says, I'm the only good one left, God. So like wipe them out, right? And God literally looks at him and he says, "No, I've actually set aside 7,000 men that have not bent the knee to Baal." And he reminds him that God always keeps a remnant. He always keeps a group of people that are following Christ, right? And so even Elijah literally said, "There's no good Jews. They're all bad.
He was
I'm the
demoralized.
yeah. And so whenever you want to look at the Jews and say, just like, get rid of them, like, no, even Elijah was literally told no by God that you cannot just get rid of the Jews. That's not going to happen. But yeah, absolutely. I think the tide is turning. And we can see that. I've been watching this, pretty closely from the very beginning, and the candy cult videos are slowly dwindling. There's not as many of them. They're slowly kind of just, and they're not really making an exit, they just kind of quietly sneak away and be like, that was just a blip of my life that I'm just not going to talk about anymore.
You didn't see anything.
Which I don't blame them. I mean, I get that. But so yeah, I mean, the tide is turning. Things are changing. We had this preliminary hearing that brought forward real, actual, concrete information that is irrefutable. That was massive. Lord only knows once we get into the actual trial, like, if there's even a sliver of this crap left at that point, which I'm hoping there's not, but I'm sure that somebody will be hanging on for a deal. Candace will still be like
she's
going to town.
She's getting close.
Yeah, we're getting close, guys.
Yeah.
That should hopefully annihilate any of it. But like we have seen that, like you said, the silence did nothing. It just continued to grow and grow and grow. And when we really started getting organized and pushing back and like fighting this, and now we're seeing a lot of these even bigger accounts come into the conversation. They're finally starting to add to the conversation. Like it is doing something. Like it is moving the dial. And I know that like it can feel really hopeless at times. It can feel really demoralizing, and it feels like you're not doing anything and like nobody's listening out there, but they are listening and people are changing. And like all of us have talked about how we've gotten DMs. Like I've literally gotten DMs from people that have been like, I was on the other side of this and now I'm not, because this is crazy and you're right. And thank you for doing what you're doing and keep going and all of that. So like, we just have to keep telling the truth and keep pushing back against the garbage.
Yeah. And what I hear time and time again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once they see what Candace does, the way that she manipulates language, the way that she manipulates people, the way that she manipulates, I wouldn't even call facts, but the information, you can't unsee it. And it's so obvious. And it's unfortunate that this has gone on as long as it has, because it is so obvious. It's hard to believe there's just so many gullible people. And I think part of it is, there's just a lot of people that don't have a purpose in life. Yeah. And this appeals to them. But it's our job to get out there and to tell them the truth. And, they can only beat you if you quit. Yeah. And I'm not quitting. Like, I don't care what you say. I don't care how bad you make me look online. Matter of fact, all you do is motivate me. Like, I'm going to get out there and talk some more crap, because I'm going to be, I'm going to go make a video right now. I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. Like, oh, okay, you want me to quit? Fine. You know what? I'm going to go make a video right now. And next thing you know, that's all over the place. Like, thank you. Thank you for motivating me. Well, listen, folks, everybody watching, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Folks, share this content. Like, subscribe if you haven't done that. Make sure you go down in the description and you follow all of these great Americans as well and support them as well. We appreciate you very much. Keep the fight up. Look, truth matters and matters a lot. And until next time, you guys don't go anywhere. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.